Hey everybody, tonight we're debating whether or not Noah's Ark has been found, and we are starting right now with our affirmative tonight, namely Otangelo and Phillips, who you see on your right in their opening statement. Thanks so much for being with us, Otangelo and Philip. The floor is all yours.
So I met Philip Williams last year in April on Facebook, and it was on a topic about Noah's Ark. And I did hear about that in 2010 about the Chinese team, and I was excited about that news. But then soon a rumor came out that this was a fake, that it was a staged hoax perpetuated by the locals in order to make money with that finding. And then I dropped it. I didn't believe it anymore. And when I met Philip, then I was excited to know that he actually did visit the site on Mount Ararat. And so I started to research this. And I believe that what Philip has seen there on Mount Ararat is effectively the remains of Noah's Ark. And I have researched that in depth. So I think that this is a very sound case, but I think Philip will be the much better host, interlocutor to actually explain what he's seen there. So I give the mic to Philip.
Philip, can you hear us?
Yes. Yeah.
Go ahead, Philip.
It's okay. I was getting feedback from a speaker coming in from the side here. Just to let you know. Yeah. Can you hear me? I can hear you.
Yes.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Well, just briefly, just to introduce myself, I am Philip Williams, and I'm the founder of a new school of let me see if I can knock that out. Okay, but I'm the founder of a new school of origins called. It's not creation science, so I know you're prepared to address creation science. My school of origins is scripture science. For example, I'm an old Earth creationist, but I'm also a worldwide flood advocate, and my flood evidence is very different from the creation science. So don't confuse that, and that will be. But I actually traced a dispersion. By the way, I found worldwide archaeological evidence of the flood. It's actually, they've been known for some time, but these have been interpreted as religious burials, and they're on all continents. But then I traced a second dispersion of mankind that RJ was talking about in another session from the ancient Near East, and I actually found it was coming from a mountain in eastern Turkey, known as popularly known as Mount Ararat. But I didn't believe the ark existed, and I was not interested in these claims for the ark until I heard on ABC News in 2010 a group that had found something on top of Mount Ararat that was matching my archaeological work. So that, as Antangelo said, became known as it got positioned as a hoax, but I became its defender. And now the people most interested in this site are archaeologists. And so we're looking forward to their report. I cannot talk a lot about the archaeological work, but we hope the archaeologists will be talking about it maybe within a year. So that's all I can say about that. But and then I became the first American, together with an archaeological official that was with me, to actually visit this site. And I'll stop right there.
Thank you very much. We will kick it over to Jordan and RJ for their opening as well. Gentlemen, thanks for being here as well. The floor is all yours, and want to let you know, folks, if it's your first time here, consider hitting that subscribe button as we have many more epic debates coming up. Thanks so much, Jordan and RJ. The floor is all yours.
All right, can you see my screen? Fantastic. Suppose someone tells you that they found an artifact from Atlantis in an undisclosed location. They insist it's authentic, and they send a video of them posing with it to the press. They refuse to allow independent experts to examine it, though, and of the few that have come close, they all say that it was almost certainly a forgery. When challenged, they loudly declare that you can't prove it's not from Atlantis. Should you believe them? Obviously, you shouldn't. Those making the claim have the burden of proof, no matter how much they might complain about it. The claim being made today is that a wooden structure, thousands of years old, has been found on Mount Ararat. Further, the structure is none other than Noah's Ark. As the ones making the claim, the burden of proof is on my interlocutors to prove that it is true. Perhaps today they'll rise to the challenge. Unfortunately, to date, the evidence we've all been presented is a collection of photographs and videos and some sparse carbon dating that undermines the structure's authenticity and loud proclamations that they'll gladly give us evidence later for belief today. Moreover, creationists who are already convinced that Noah's Ark is a real thing and who would be highly motivated to believe that these claims are true have all responded that at best this is not the Ark and at worst it's an outright fraud. So our friend Philip went to the site around 2014, I believe, but the origin of this particular alleged Ark discovery goes further back than that. In 2010, at that time, Noah's Ark Ministries International, or NAMI, announced that they'd found a wooden structure high in the mountains of Ararat. They shared some camera footage and said the structure that they believed was Noah's Ark had been carbon dated to 4,800 years old. So let's start with that carbon dating. The NAMI team never released the full story, but they did send some results out to Dr. Andrew Snelling, who's a creationist, in an effort to get him on board with the find. So let's look at that. They sent 3 samples to 2 different labs and a 4th sample to just 1 lab. These numbers may be a bit confusing. They all represent ages before present, which means it's defined as before 1950. And you can also see each result has an error bar. But it's easier to see for a layman what's going on if you put it in a picture. So I've put these numbers into a graph. So as you can see, the results from lab 1 and 2 are precise and in strong agreement with each other. Sample A was modern, and they knew it was modern because it showed clear evidence of nuclear weapons testing, which means that the trees in question were alive during the 1950s. Sample B was from the late 18th century, and sample C was in the 14th century. None of these samples, all allegedly from the wooden structure, could have possibly been from Noah's day unless Noah was a time traveler. Of course, the press release that we all got conveniently left out those 3 samples. Instead, they focused entirely on the 4th sample, sample D, which was sent to a totally different lab. This is where they got their 4,800-year age from. In the lab report, or the fragment that we got, they reported a calendric age of 6,891 years before present, plus or minus 4,467 years. In other words, they dated the wood somewhere in that yellow 9,000-year range. So the test, that the one they reported, is a clear outlier from the other labs, and there's obviously something very strange going on with it, a huge error bar. But that's the only one that they talked about. So there's some open questions. Did Lab 3 screw up their test results? Are they a reputable lab? Was there a methodological problem or maybe an issue at collection? Or did NAMI just not like the results of Lab 1 and 2, and so they went to someone who'd tell them what they want to hear? Well, we don't know, but this is just the tip of the weirdness iceberg. Doctors Patton and Price, both creationists, were originally working with NAMI to validate their claim of finding the Ark back in 2010. They now believe it to be a fraud perpetrated by Parasuit. It's his nickname, the local guide, possibly aided by NAMI. Here are some highlights of their accusations. According to Price and Patton, the group in question has been dishonest in the past. For example, just one among many examples of dishonesty, NAMI posted a chunk of petrified wood, you can see it on the left, as being part of the discovery in 2008. On the right, you can see Patton and Price examining that wood. Now, you might be thinking, well, those 2 pieces look very different. They have different colors. And that's not your imagination or a trick of the light. In fact, the original picture released by NAMI was altered in order to make it look more like wood. It wasn't wood at all, of course. It was volcanic tuff. But that's just one example among many that we could pull out. Eventually, Price and Patton paid the guide Parasuit $100,000 to examine the site. After flying to Turkey, did it around for a month, and eventually, after a bunch of excuses, they weren't allowed to go see it. And after that, their relationship ended. Now, Price and Patton left the NAMI team and they began investigating the claims themselves. They met with local workers who'd claimed to have built the site, believing that it would be used as a movie set, and those workers did not appreciate being made part of a lie. Those workers' names have been withheld for their own safety. However, one person we do know is Dr. Sili Bayraktan, and I'm sure I've butchered that name, of Vigdir University, who spent 25 years studying that specific region, and he's on camera testifying that he was both aware of the fraud and was asked to help but refused to participate. Now, to be fair, NAMI and Parasuit hotly contest Patton and Price's version of events. To hear them tell it, those two are both bitter, that NAMI found the Ark and not them, et cetera, et cetera. Now, it's not clear why Dr. Sally would lie on their behalf, but that's really beside the point, because there's an easy way that NAMI could have refuted these claims, or that Philip could refute these claims, or anybody could. It's a simple method they could use to show once and for all that this site is legitimate, that their carbon dating is consistent with this being Noah's Ark, and all the rest. That method can be summed up in 3 words. Publish their results. It's been over a decade since the original discovery. The players have changed now. Now it's the Southern Evangelical Seminary, and they've sent Philip Williams out there and some unnamed archaeologists. Yet since 2010, one thing has stayed the same. Not one paper has been published in a single peer-reviewed journal. No independent experts have been able to verify these details for themselves. Everyone involved seems to be going to great lengths to keep their findings secret, all while assuring us that the papers will be published later. Perhaps when later eventually arrives, we'll have something worth talking about. Until then, NAMI, Parasuit, and now Philip and Ontangelo, they want to exchange belief today for evidence later. They'll gladly pay us Tuesday for a hamburger today. Well, I don't accept that, and neither should any of you. And now it's RJ's turn.
Yes, you have summarized this thing in great detail, and I will just kind of reinforce the point. First off, my regular disclaimer that I always make on here, nothing that we're talking about matters. It's not going to change one bit of the physical evidence. No scientists are paying attention to any of these issues. We're just doing this for entertainment here on the YouTube and standing up for what's going on. But the other aspect is that, boy, James, you scheduled the wrong debate, because Phil and Otangelo shouldn't be defending their position against Jordan and me. They should be trying to defend their position with Carl Wieland and Andrew Snelling and Bob Enyart and Don Patton and Brian Thomas, the various people at ICR and AIG and CMI who have been dumping on this whole concept for the last 10 or 15 years. I put a link into the Andrew Snelling piece, by the way, Jordan, that he put up, which is really quite an extensive thing. For an Answers in Depth article, it's actually really in depth. That's rather unusual for them to do at Answers in Depth. Anyway, I put the link up to that so everyone can get to it. Some of the reaction to this, Bob Enyart, who is not the most credulous person in the world, was channeling from Don Patton, exposing a false claim of finding Noah's Ark. That came in 2011. Brian Thomas in 2015 at ICR, Noah's Ark discovery, in quotes, likely a sinking ship. And that one is relatively short. And then the other one, to really show snark, Carl Wieland at creation.com, the Hong Kong Ark Fiasco. That is how they titled it there. So the point is that Williams's argument doesn't need to gain traction in our side first. He needs to gain attraction on their side. The very people who should have been just really anxious to accept solid evidence for Noah's Ark are all uber skeptical of this. And apart from Norman Geisler, who in his dotage jumped on the bandwagon and decided that there was something there, Geisler has trouble figuring out how old the Earth is in older debates and dates all the way back into the 1980s at the Arkansas creationism trial. So he's not exactly a solid, reliable source on this. And all of this is independent of whether or not there was ever a global flood. If there was never a global flood, we don't really need to hunt around for an ark in any case whatsoever. So to find such a consistent disagreement, there was another one as well. Rick Lancer, who's a young Earth creationist from the Associates of Biblical Research, he also was extremely concerned with this. So people of deep faith are bothered by the behavior of the people that have been pushing this and the lack of scientific credibility, even from their own framework. What I hope we can do in a discussion of this is something that in the previous debate that Otangelo and Phil had with David Neff, where he was alluding to his model, his Ice Age model of the flood, I really would like to know more about that. I tried to look as much as I could at his book that was on Amazon.com, but all of the excerpts from it, it's some 400 pages long, but the excerpts are quite short. We're all basically on theology, nothing on geology or science. So hopefully we can discuss the Indian subcontinent and the geology of there in relation to Ice Age evidence, in relation to volcano evidence, in relation to the Harappa culture, and all the material about what does he think was going on with that geological slice. And Otangelo, you're, I believe, in South America. Any understanding you have about this model as you would be applying it to where you live? Jordan, wherever you are, thinking about where that would apply. And I, of course, have the Pacific Northwest with the Columbia basalt and the Missoula floods and exotic terrains dating back hundreds of millions of years from volcanic terrains out in the ancient Pacific Ocean. A huge amount of geology, but the one thing we don't have here in Spokane is Ice Age, because the glaciers never got this far south. So I want to see more about what this model is, and I'm hoping in our big back and forth we can really dive deep into that, because this could be educational in air quotes. And I reserve the time, then we can just move on to the fun and games.
You bet. Thank you very much. Oops.
James, unmute yourself.
All right, thank you very much. From our opposition team, want to let you know, folks, our guests are linked in the description. So we would highly encourage you, if you'd like to hear more or read more, you can click on their links, which are below in the description box. And that includes if you're listening via the Modern Day Debate podcast, folks. As we were excited, we have a Modern Day Debate podcast now. And if you're listening to this debate through that, you can click on their links in the description box for that episode as well. Thanks so much, gentlemen. The floor is all yours.
Otangelo, I'll go first. First of all, I had no idea. I was told I would be debating a few atheists, yet I'm debating young Earth creationists. If you're not young Earth creationists, you're actually quoting as an authorities a so-called geologist who has found human tracks. He's famous for finding human tracks with dinosaurs. Now, I mean, first of all, I really need to create. Are you fellows young Earth creationists?
Oh, no. And don't try to play that card.
That's all you
isn't
quoted.
Helping you either here.
No,
Old Earth
I'm
geology
sorry.
ain't going to
When
help
you quote them as authorities, basically you're affirming them.
So,
No,
You're
I'm not.
affirming their expertise.
No, I'm not. I'm saying that the target audience that you have, Otangelo is a young Earth creationist. If you thrash this over with
I
him,
understand that. But first of all, let me tell you why the young Earth creationists are against this. Mount Ararat sits on top of their flood evidence. Now, if this is Noah's Ark, young Earth creationism goes. And so they assert that the Mount Ararat is a post-flood volcano. I'm surprised you don't know this. Now, the other thing you're quoting a geologist, Snelling, who rejects radiocarbon dating. The reason why he does not accept this is not because of the data, but because according to his recalibration of radiocarbon dating, it should be like, if it's a flood, it should be like 30 or 30,000 years in actual radiocarbon measurements. So you're quoting these creationists and you're making your case upon their authority.
No, I'm not.
So, I mean, well, you did.
Can you show me in my presentation where I said that the date should be 30,000 years?
No, you quoted Snelling's. That's Snelling's.
What date do you give to this event?
I don't. My dating is based on the pottery.
So
it's very,
and the pottery can't be dated too?
Yes, the pottery's dated.
And what dates are you giving? Give us a time frame here.
It's in the third millennium BC. There appears to be Transcaucasians, or what's also known as Kirbit Kirak or Beth Ura, a pottery the pottery that I traced to this mountain, and the same kind of pottery appears to have been found on this. Now, the archaeologists will be checking that out, really? And they're excited about that. This is something just astounding.
Which
and by the way, let me correct you. You've made so many statements that are just wild. You're getting them from the internet. But archaeologists.
Don't presume where I'm getting stuff from, Phil.
Well, on the accusations, RJ, you weren't making the accusations, but I think Jordan did. Yes, he had a slide presentation. Now, first of all, he's talking about NAMI, and I'm not NAMI. I made my own investigation independent to that. In fact, NAMI is not much involved in this now. The archaeologists, I brought them there.
Do you have any peer-reviewed journals that you're slated to publish in anytime soon?
Yes, they are. You can find them in the 2018 symposium on Mount Ararat, Noah's Ark.
Oh, where you made a presentation, but that's often the case where people will present stuff.
No, he's published. One of my papers is published.
I want to know where we can read your paper in an actual journal, full length.
It's not a journal yet. It's now they will be published in journals. The archaeologists that are involved.
Got a time frame on that in the next 10 years or what?
Well, let me. Do you know why nothing's been done until this year?
Give us a rationalization, Phil.
Enlighten
the mountain's been closed. Mm-hmm. Now, ark searchers can violate the laws, but archaeologists cannot.
And that prevents you from writing a summary analysis of the data you've collected so far for people to inspect?
Listen, the information that NAMI published and gave violated antiquities laws, and it was a problem. They didn't know what they were doing.
And that prevents you from writing an analysis of what you claim to be the data field?
Listen, we cannot, without this being under proper archaeological exegesis, under proper archaeological license, we cannot publish. In fact, there was a gentleman named Joel Klink that tried to do this at ASOR back in, I think, 2012. It was taken out because it was not done under proper archaeological. The archaeological and antiquities rules are very, very tight. And that's the primary thing that's been delaying. In fact, but they're good. I mean, it's good that we have this because this makes sure that everything would be done.
Okay, well, then we're kind of stuck on that aspect. I'd like to get on then to the applied model of the Ice Age then.
Hold on. I've still got a couple questions on that.
Have at it, Jordan.
I brought up NAMI. I know you're not NAMI, but I brought them up because this is the same site, right? They investigated it before, and now you're investigating it, right? So if the site was a hoax then it'd be a hoax now. That's why the accusations are relevant. But more important to that, this site was found in 2008. I understand it wasn't by you. Then an announcement was made in 2010, and then you go in 2014, and now it's 2021. And you're telling me, well, next year it'll be published. So what you're basically saying is you came on here on the modern day debates to debate the affirmative position that this is Noah's Ark, and as evidence you provided nothing. We're supposed to just take your word for it. Well, I'm sorry, that's not good enough. Why should we take your word for it?
I'm not asking you to take my word for it. I'll report what I did. In fact, I'll show video of what I've been. I can't. In fact, even the discoverer and the people he learned the location of the site from, they've always believed this is Noah's Ark, but it's time for the archaeologists to look at it. So even no matter what I do, it's not going to be relevant. It's only going to be relevant when this is done under proper peer-reviewed archaeological oversight.
Well, I agree. Yeah. But then that begs the question. So if I'm understanding you correctly, you're not saying that was confusing. I'm sorry. You're not saying that this is actually Noah's Ark. Is that correct?
Right. I'm saying I do believe it is, but my way of actually investigating is to try to prove that it's not Noah's Ark. So I've set up a testable procedure. Here, what are the ways that we can try to disprove this? In fact, that's how I went about investigating the flood. I tried to disprove the flood.
mean,
that's
a great methodology, but I don't understand why we're here then. Why are we here talking about this if you're saying, well, I have no idea because I haven't done my investigation yet? Well, why not come back when you've done your investigation? Like, sure, I don't understand.
We'll do that if you'd like to wait until next year. But we won't be coming back here, I can tell you that. You have the opportunity to get a preview of some things if you want to do that. But it will be a different forum, and you'll hear it. You'll have an opportunity to see it.
Okay, so just so everyone in the audience is clear, what you're saying is you don't have any actual evidence, but we'll have evidence later. Trust me.
Wait, eyewitness testimony is evidence. Let me tell you, you cannot prove anything, any historical matter. You cannot prove that Julius Caesar existed.
Oh, really?
In fact, there's far more evidence for Jesus Christ
than there is
for Julius Caesar.
That's interesting. Yeah, what account do we have from Jesus' own hand of his conquest of Gaul, for example? Or what coins were minted with
you
Julius
really
Caesar's
think Julius
message?
Caesar wrote his own account of the conquest of Gaul?
I mean, yes.
Yeah.
Well, how about the coins minted with Julius Caesar's face on it?
Do you think there was some gigantic conspiracy in the first century BC to invent Julius Caesar?
Well, actually, now we need some sophisticated philosophers in here, but there is far more evidence. You could maybe.
Buckaroo, I'm a Roman era historian as well as American era.
Are we going to do the arc? Or are we going to go into?
I want to get back to your Ice Age model. So, what you are claiming? What are you claiming is happening in the third millennium BC? Is it a local event? Is it a global event? And what exactly are you saying is happening geologically?
It's a global event.
Okay, and what are you saying is happening?
Well, what happens is the Earth empties its water and
empties its water from where?
From below. Did you know there's more water? There's more water under North America than there's enough water under North America to fill the.
And regarding India, where is this being displayed?
The flood evidence.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of a geologist named William Buckland?
Yeah, that's way back in the 18th century, early 19th century.
He found evidence of the diluvian.
Are you claiming that any of the geology of Buckland's era is very impressive?
RJ, you're cutting off. It's annoying. We're going to let him finish.
Well, let me tell you, you're building on Buckland's and his contemporaries' work. They developed the geological column. Are you familiar with the geological column?
Let's jump farther forward. Please tell me where I would see flood evidence in India. What deposits? What evidence?
It's all over in different parts of India. Of course, it generally washes off the higher levels. There's not only in maybe some valleys in the Himalayas where you see it. It's mostly in the valleys. Can I take India, Egypt, which is a little more familiar to everybody?
The place that doesn't have a flood legend. Okay, yeah, do that.
Yeah, they do have a flood legend.
No, they don't.
You're okay. Let's don't be distracted by these. Okay, but most of these ancient nations, even before the time of Christ, had accounts of the flood.
No, they didn't. I know you believe that. But they didn't. You explicitly. Jump in, Jordan. But I really don't want to let the Harappa go.
I'm just saying, even if let's just grant that they did. Let's just grant that ancient societies had flood legends. Is that really that surprising? People live near water, that they have to. People, and I'm not a doctor, but people die without
lived
water.
On the Indus River floodplain, which was prone to disastrous flooding. There's some technical literature that I'm going to be citing in volume 2 of The Rocks Were There. Is a whole big section on flood geology and all of that stuff. They know that the shifting in the monsoon cycles that are taking place in that period around 2200 BCE is accounting for the decline of the Harappa culture. Meanwhile, over in the Indus Valley, or in the Tigris-Euphrates, you had those catastrophic flooding that occurred all the time. Those are the places that and the Yangtze, rivers that flood catastrophically produce flood legends. Duh.
Look, Okay, your opinion it would be a minority in the science of anthropology.
Incorrect. Tell me who disagrees with that scenario in the scientific community, archaeological or geological?
Okay, listen, let's don't get distracted on this because we've got the ark. I'll just mention Harappa was a pre-flood civilization that was actually ended by the flood. That's why there is a script there on the Indus River that has never been deciphered. And the reason it can't be deciphered is because it was terminated. That language was terminated by the flood.
And there's also very few examples of it to go on. That's another topic I discussed in the new book.
Okay, well, I'm glad you know all these, RJ.
I know.
I love to have a lot of time.
Where in the Harappa culture, where in any of the paleontology and archaeology of the Harappa are you claiming there is direct evidence of this alleged flood event?
Well, the standard view is the Harappa culture was ended by flood. Not necessarily Noah's flood in the standard view, but it was a.
What about 21st century archaeologists? Can you kind of get caught up there?
Listen, I work with 21st century archaeologists. I work with world-class archaeologists.
Can you give us their names?
One thing I do want to mention is I understand how this is a relevant point, but it is something that I think the audience, I'm going to get grilled if they say, James, you titled this as whether or not Noah's Ark has been found. And so.
Oh, okay. Well, we said it didn't. And that solves that problem.
Well, we can get back to that.
Go ahead, Jordan.
The specific discovery here. You said you're working with archaeologists on this, and they're going to publish. Which archaeologists?
Listen, I took an official from. Are you familiar with the American Schools of Oriental Research, known as ASOR?
I've heard the name. I'm not an archaeologist.
Well, they're they're the primary American archaeological organization, and they're preeminent throughout the world for the ancient Near East, for these cultures in the Middle East. All right, I actually took an official from that organization with me when on the 2014.
And who was that?
Her name was Sheila Bishop. You can get on the ASOR's file and you can find out that she is a trustee and very honored member. She's just resigned from ASOR this year, I think, because she's going into a different phase. Also, I was a special invited guest with the executive committee of ASOR back in 2012, I think it was. And the primary archaeologist, though, that's overseeing this work, his name is Octave Belli. He is a professor emeritus.
How do you spell that?
Oktaybelli. He is the most preeminent archaeologist involved with the Urartu culture. Do you know what that is? Ararat. He was the professor emeritus of ancient Near East at Istanbul University. Mm-hmm. And for several number of years, he's been doing these seminars and publishing the results of different aspects of the culture. Now, the archaeologists they're not ark searchers. They look at things in context. So they're looking at everything.
And what's their position on your hypothesis?
I hate to be such a stickler. Is someone like maybe moving something around like a keyboard or squeezing a water bottle? There's like some background.
Yeah, that's me. I'm sorry.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Well, I listen. Octave Belli is, he is the premier archaeologist of this part of the world.
What's his opinion of your hypothesis?
He thinks it's very promising. He thinks it's probably the source of the traditions. And I just found out today
has he written that up anywhere?
Yes. Well, let me see. He's written many articles in his symposiums over the years.
Yeah, but if you check this particular point.
Actually, he's on NAMI's video saying that, the one that they published. He's saying just that.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure we'll all want to contact him and clarify that point then.
You may do that if you can speak German and Turkish. When I had him here in Charlotte,
Ich spreche kein bisschen Deutsch.
Yeah. Well, good. He'll enjoy talking with you.
And Sheila Bishop's a view on your hypothesis?
I'm sorry?
Sheila Bishop's view on your hypothesis.
Well, yes, she thinks that this is likely. In fact, the ones that are making these claims that this is a hoax. Now, that's something that the archaeologists just questioned the intelligence of anyone who's looked at this.
And where has she communicated this information in writing?
She hasn't, but maybe I'll get her on my podcast.
Okay, another person for us to
in the next month or so. Yeah. Hey,
So
listen, if a person's eyewitness testimony is evidence, if you're inclined to disbelieve it, you can dismiss anything.
I have a purple dragon in my garage. I saw it. Why don't you believe me?
Well,
isn't my eyewitness testimony evidence? What are you saying? I'm a liar? Like, I don't
yeah,
understand.
show me some videos.
Now we're into the next step. Beyond eyewitness to empirical evidence that can be inspected and cross-checked. That's what we're having problems with.
How
Phil.
dare you, sir, demand that I give you evidence? How come my eyewitness testimony isn't good enough for you?
Yeah, because you're obviously just playing a game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, obviously,
you think I'm playing a game?
I'm saying that I believe that you saw some wood under some ice or whatever. I mean, I saw the video. So I'm not saying you're a liar. I'm not saying I believe you believe what you're saying. Okay. What I'm saying is that that's great for you, but your eyewitness testimony isn't enough to rationally believe it for anyone else.
I'm not asking anyone to do that. In fact, that's why we bring in the archaeologists in. But no matter what the archaeologists find, if it looks like Noah's Ark, if it smells like, if it's the same size and everything, it's still going to be, it's still evidence that can be rejected. You can reject it if you like to reject it. You can make up some plausible or implausible story and reject it. That's just the nature of evidence.
Okay, so speaking of evidence, do you think that the radiocarbon dating that was reported by NAMI and has leaked out on the internet, do you accept those results, or what's your opinion on those results?
Well, I know a little bit more about that than you do, but
great, then enlighten us.
Yeah, well, I would rather wait on the archaeologists. The first one that was sent is the one that had the 4800 BP dating, and it was a big piece. And then they said they needed more, and they sent these other pieces. But
any of the dating ended up in the time frame you want?
Yeah.
The 4800
the 4800 is perfect.
Yeah,
4800 before.
You notice?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But as I said,
so that's like 600 years before the decline of the Harappa. That's not exactly a catastrophe.
What trees it takes some time to grow, and then after they're grown, it takes some time. And listen, I'm not making any claims about the radiocarbon dating. I have not made one claim about it.
Well, that puts you on safe turf.
So I'm trying. I'm desperately digging for whatever evidence there is, right? And so like this is a piece of evidence that has been presented, not by you. I understand that, which is why I asked whether or not you think it's authentic. Maybe you reject the whole thing, in which case, fine. But it doesn't seem like you do, because you seem to be referring to the 4,800 years, right? So given that we got a date of 4,800 years plus or minus like 4,000. What about the other two, the sample that is modern?
They probably are modern wood. They probably are modern wood. I mean, we've got some explorers there, and they grab wood's up there used for campfires, and this thing has been visited many times. There's pottery in here, but let me mention, if you want to do dating, I told you, listen to you must listen to what I say if you want to understand my reason for having confidence in this site. But I actually determined that the Middle Bronze Age, there is a great cultural discontinuity between the early Bronze Age and the Middle Bronze Age. A lot has been written on this. And it's that discontinuity which I've identified as the flood. And it's the exact date of the biblical date of flood. It's around 4,300 BP. There's difference in different archaeologists.
We get a bibliography of the technical literature that you draw on regarding that alleged discontinuity time frame.
Yeah, you'll find it in my book if you want.
Well, I can't see your book. Can you provide that? Can you make like a PDF file of it or a doc file or something so that other people can see it? Because unless we can buy your book, we can't tell.
Well, I guess we should buy it.
RJ, I might even send you a book.
I would be delighted to add that to my library, and I would do a source analysis on it on an evolution hour eventually.
Yeah. Okay. Let's what were we talking about? Noah's Ark or something?
You were explaining that the early dated radiocarbon samples were contamination or something wrong with them.
Yeah. Now listen to me. I dated it based on pottery. Okay, there is a spread, an unusual spread of pottery that happens in about the third millennium BC, the right before the flood, and it's spreading all over the ancient Near East. It has different names. It's called Kuro-Araxes because it starts in the highlands of the Kuro-Araxes rivers. Those are the rivers that come out from Mount Ararat. And the settlements are primarily in the highlands, which is very interesting. It's also called Transcaucasian. It extends from Georgia, which is part of the ancient land of Ararat, and extends down to Syria and to Jericho. Even some of it actually goes as far as Jericho. And it's just an astounding sudden spread. And then following this, we get the Middle Bronze Age, and I'm able to correlate this. Now, a lot of work is currently being done by the archaeologists. They see a great discontinuity about 2300 BC. In fact, it's called the 2300 BC discontinuity. But I haven't.
Is that the only discontinuity in the record?
Perfectly the flood. Let me stop here because I think RJ's wanted to.
Is that the only discontinuity in the archecological record? Just that one? My mic's on.
He asked if you can hear me. He asked if that was the only discontinuity that is observed.
Oh no, there's discontinuity all over the world.
No. I mean, so there's, but all of it not dating necessarily to the same time frame. That in fact, if you look over a period of thousands of years, people are moving all over the place. Cultures are changing, pottery styles are changing, interactions are going on over thousands of years. What you need to do is move beyond simple pottery data to document that any of those discontinuities actually correlate with an actual flood that uniquely occurs at that time frame. And so far, we haven't heard diddly from you.
Okay, all right. Let's go with my chief flood evidence, which is in the prehistoric world. You find these elaborate graves all over the world on every continent. I'm talking about dating back to what's the Neolithic or the early Bronze Age. But it's all graves. There are people lying. They're of all ages. They're lying in these graves. They look like houses. They've got their pottery. They've got their weapons. They've got their adornments. What you don't find is occupational sites. All you have
that's why I'd like to see your documentation on that, because going back for many thousands of years all across Eurasia and other places as well, is an enormous amount of stuff on occupational sites. So that one, my alarm bells are going off.
Well, you're assuming that they've got, are you familiar with the kurgans that go through Russia and Eastern Europe?
Well, those are nomadic tribesmen. That's a different kettle of fish, but there are several
that's one
areas.
way they explain That's one way they
You've got,
explain.
well, we know there are migratory people. The point is you're claiming that there aren't settlements and settlement sites that are known in the fossil record, archaeological record prior to this period. And we've got tons of that all over the planet.
You do. Apparently the archaeologists don't. In 2015, I was in the Republic of Georgia, and the head of the archaeological organization of Georgia was saying, studying these kurgans, and said, we find these kurgans, but we cannot find occupational sites.
So
that would be like saying that there wasn't a New York City because people in the Dakotas didn't have settled cities.
No, it's like saying we find people in New York City that are buried in these tombs that look like houses with all everything they have, but we can't find where.
None of that's getting you to your flood, Phil.
Uh-huh.
So I just want to try to tie this back to the actual site. You said that you believe that this is Noah's Ark because of your pottery dating. So, and when you say that, I envision like you're seeing pottery from that time inside the alleged Ark site. Is that correct?
When I first heard, George, let me mention this. When I first heard of this announcement, I first of all, I was just excited because I just finished all this work on the flood, and I'd traced it to this mountain. But I said, wouldn't it be wonderful if there's actually pottery in that structure that's matching the Kerbic or the Transcaucasian? And in fact, I first saw that pottery in that paper that you quoted, Jordan, from Randall Price's and Don Patton's, when they actually published pictures of that pottery that Parachute had showed them, and they didn't recognize that they were looking at the very thing that actually, as close as anything can possibly do, prove that this is the actual Noah's Ark.
Okay, so just to be clear, you found pottery from the time you think the flood is at this site, and that is what persuades you that this is Noah's Ark. Is that accurate?
That's one thing.
Okay, and so the pottery convinces you because you found it in the Ark, but the radiocarbon dating, and I'm a nuclear engineer, so I'm going to fasten on anything that has to do with that. But the radiocarbon dating, that is not legitimate because people come in the Ark and leave stuff all the time. So
absolutely.
So the stuff that doesn't fit the flood, that's just detritus that people have put in there. But the stuff that does fit, that's authentic from 4,000 years ago. So
look, we have people from some of the top radiocarbon laboratories in the world. In fact, that's the only kind that I'm inviting to the site.
Can you give me their names so we can?
No, I cannot. They'll have to publish. This is too sensitive. But they know how to do this, and that's for them to do. That's not for me. I'll wait on them just like you will wait on them. So
I will say I appreciate when someone hands it off to an expert or doesn't claim to have expertise in every field. That's great. So if the answer is I don't know because that's not my area, that's a legitimate answer. But we are at a debate, and you are the affirmative position, and it seems like every time we dig for evidence, your answer is, well, I'll get it to you next week. I'll hit you back. Let me hold $1. I'll get you back next week. Like, come on, man. Like, I'm trying to find something to hang my hat on here. You're just not giving me anything.
Well, if you don't understand pottery, if you're not familiar with Kerbic, Kerak, and Transcaucasian, I can't give you anything. But if you're an archaeologist that are familiar with them, let me. When I was talking with one of these laboratories, now we don't speak in terms of Noah's Ark, but we do speak in terms of migrations. And my summary with them, I said, if this is Kerbic, Kerak, and that's what we were talking, these were experts on Kerbic, Kerak. I said, we have got an exciting site. If it's not Kerbic, Kerak, it's merely an interesting site.
So
some of these archaeologists
mentioning the flood model to them.
I appreciate. I appreciate I'm not an archaeologist. I never claimed to be, which is why I'm trying to get to some peer-reviewed article so I can talk to I can hear the experts. You keep throwing out like I have these top tier experts, I have these labs, I have this and I have that, and that's it doesn't seem like you do. Like
I'm sorry. Please listen to me. The mountain's been closed until this year. Okay, archaeologists are not going to be involved in illegal. But
you still collected data before, and what we're trying to do is have you marshal that data.
I'm sorry. You cannot. I mean, if I would violate antiquities laws to publish. If I took an artifact from that site, I would violate antiquities laws.
Well, but wait a minute, are you telling me that literally no technical papers have been written on any of these topics by any archaeologist in peer-reviewed literature since 2010?
No, they have in Dr. Bailey's.
And you can't cite that material in relation to your hypothesis that not merely migrations were taking place in a region of the world where we know lots of migrations have been taking place over thousands of years for all sorts of reasons, but that this uniquely relates to a hypothetical flood for which you have as yet offered no geological evidence.
Listen, I'm not going to discuss. I've told you that the archaeologists have got the survey underway. The mountain is now open, and we'll wait on that.
That was not the question I was asking.
I know that, but you're ignoring me, okay? And if you don't want to wait on that, then fine, okay? But if you want to have some, if you want to ask some questions about this, based on my eyewitness account, and then I'm glad to do this. This is an opportunity. I doubt you'll have this opportunity again.
Well, that's very possible. So at no point were you bringing up your flood hypothesis to the archaeologists you've been discussing as an explanation for these migrations?
Oh, I definitely do.
And which one of them agreed with you on it, other than Sheila Bishop and Octave Belli, who we will be contacting to find out whether or not they affirm that position?
Yeah. Oh, sure. Well, that would. Well, Dr. Belli, he just says this. In fact, he's got an expedition to survey it. So
why wouldn't he? It's an archaeological site. He's an archaeologist. Right. The issue relates to whether or not it's more than just him saying, "Oh gosh, this is an interesting archaeological site," but that somehow this correlates with a global flood. Is he affirming that position?
Listen. The only person in the world who can explain this, what looks like a big ship on top of Mount Ararat, but can explain it in connection with a flood, to my knowledge, is myself. It's a different paradigm that I've worked on for about 30 years.
Which is why we're trying to glean information from you,
right,
Phil.
Right.
And that's why you're here. Yeah, and so far, it's like nailing Jell-O to a wall.
Listen, what do you want to know? What can do you want to understand? You want me to explain my paradigm? I'd have to go back.
Yeah, can you explain it in a sentence or two for us all?
Maybe I can. Okay. Yeah. In the early 19th century, the archaeologists found a non-stratified deposits above. Now, this is the same time they're discovering that there are no human remains in the fossils like the dinosaurs and this early fish and things like that. So they're recognized that the earth is old. But there was a recent, appeared to be a flood that the man who invented paleontology, such as Georges Cuvier, had described as a flood. That was the only way they could explain these deposits because they were not stratified. They were just jumbled up.
Way beyond a couple sentences here, and we still don't know what you claim.
Okay, they call this the Diluvian. The oldest scientific journal in America, called the American Journal of Science, was founded on Diluvian.
So where's the Diluvia where you live?
All right, the Diluvian was Charles Lyell.
Where's the diluvial deposit, the flood deposit that dates to 2300
Right in my front yard. I was looking at
where
today.
You live.
It's the red clay in my yard full of stones.
Okay, and you got any geologists in the area that agree with you on that?
I have a new paradigm. So let me explain how that paradigm.
Where is it? I'll tell you, there ain't no diluvial deposit here in Spokane.
Will you let me explain? Will you let me explain this so you can understand it?
Yeah, please summarize.
Okay, the diluvian was changed from 1 year to hundreds of thousands of years. Now it's been pushed to about a couple of million years by Charles Lyell. Arbitrarily, he ignored the fact that
That's a cartoon version. I disagree.
Okay, I'll just say then it was later determined
just
that this
to
was
prevent any more mistakes. I'm going to put you on mute, RJ, just because it's really important that we just want to let Philip finish, and then I promise we'll come right back to you.
Well, just continuing. Then this period that was renamed the Pleistocene instead of the Diluvian, they decided that it was a frozen flood, and they called it the Ice Age. But they arbitrarily limited it to the Arctic regions because they would not have accepted the Ice Age if they had not found these glaciers in Antarctica and in Greenland. So that's how they got rid of the flood. But that had, by the way, there were human remains found in these deposits that were called the Pleistocene, but they denied it because they didn't want to believe that there were human beings that were associated with this, because somebody might claim that's the flood. But once they had stretched this period out from 1 year to hundreds of thousands of years, they accepted these results of human results being in there, and instantly that created the antiquity of man, just in time for Charles Darwin.
And my that's your summary of your model. That's not a model. That's a odd summary of early 19th century geology. By the way, I put a mention in there. Martin Rudwick did a nice 2014 book. He's written a ton of works on the history of geology. It's a bit of a cartoon to recognize that, but let's get back to that India example. There is an ice age in India. Do you claim that occurred 2,300 years BC?
Yeah. By the way, I've
where was India when that happened?
Let me say, you mentioned Martin Rudwick. Yes, he's done a masterful job outlining just what I said, and I wanted them to take this in because what archaeologists have a problem with their prehistoric chronology, because it was determined from geology. So the geologists actually determined the early your Paleolithic, your early remains of early man. And I asked Martin if he would care to take his work back to where it connects with archaeologists, and he suggested that I do that. But you did mention.
I'd love to see the correspondence on that. He may have been somebody who was recommending that you go to do that work because he didn't really want to have.
Well, he wanted the younger man to do it. You know, he said that's yeah.
But I'll get back to India's ice age. Tell us what you know about the ice age in India, and where was India when that took place?
Oh, well, when we're talking about the ice age in terms of the deposits, we're talking about the Pleistocene. So
no, that's not a Pleistocene ice age. Name me any geologist in the last 100 years that contends that's a Pleistocene ice age.
They don't do it now, but I'm challenging their paradigm.
When do the regular geologists claim that ice age occurred in India?
They work on the standard paradigm.
And can you be more specific? I know the answer to that question. I want to know if you do. I know. Well, the problem is that, James, is what we've got here is two.
So we're kind of close to the end, and I think my side has been mostly the one lobbying the questions. So do you have a question you'd like to throw at us, just in fairness? I mean, I have more questions I'd love to ask, but I want to make sure you get a chance to ask questions too.
Well, not really. I mean, I understand you're working from the standard paradigm. You're working from the literature, what's out there on the internet, and it's really unfair to you, to come without having, I'm coming from a completely different area, and to be able, we're talking about a paradigm shift. a major paradigm shift. And a paradigm is basically the way you interpret the evidence. You'll take the same evidence and you'll interpret it in a different way. And but I do mention the scientific methodology I use is to try to disprove and to try to make predictions that might be easily falsified. And the paradigm that I have makes powerful predictions, and it's far better than the standard paradigm. So it can be that's the only way you can judge one paradigm against the other is how simply does it explain the evidence and how testable or falsifiable it is. And so that's about all I say. Yeah,
I agree 100%. So since we're getting into stuff we agree on, would you agree that claims require evidence? So if someone's going to make a claim, the burden is on them to prove that claim is true. Is that something you'd agree with?
Well, the burden is really on everybody. You're basically using Hume's argument and that Randall Price quoted in this. The more astonishing the claim, the greater the burden is.
Sure. I mean, you can use Sagan's formulation if you prefer. Whichever,
yeah. Well, fine. Well, sure. I mean, it astounds me, when archaeologists are involved in this, why anybody would believe that this would be falsified when the archaeologists are going to quickly disprove it if that's the case. So I think we may have moved past those hoax charges. I hope we have, because
Hope springs
really
eternal, Bill.
What?
Hope springs
eternal.
It's so I'm what I'm trying to get at. It seems we both agree that claims require evidence, and it seems like we both agree that you should try to disprove claims. It just seems like throwing out there that this is Noah's Ark, like we've discovered it, it's in Ararat. It seems to me like it might be premature, and the reason being,
sure,
if we haven't done this kind of investigation yet, I'm always open to new evidence. If in a year or two the archaeologists publish in a peer-reviewed journal that this is definitely a boat, and you know what, it's Noah's boat, I changed my mind.
They can't do that. No matter, I mean, that's not all they can do is publish the evidence they collect, and it's going to be open to different interpretations, and some will be better than others. And the way you determine these things is everybody makes a public argument, and the one that convinces the most people will convince the most people.
Right.
And
but it seems like that hasn't been done yet.
No, it hasn't.
Okay, so
no.
Basically, it seems like the position everyone should be in is, has Noah's Ark been found? We don't know it because we haven't seen the evidence yet.
That's good.
Cool. Debate over. Gavel pounded. It's the only debate in history where we came to a conclusion.
Yeah, but I'm excited. I'm excited for the results.
Yeah, we haven't heard anything from Otangelo.
Otangelo, what are your
Otangelo
thoughts?
is in potted plant mode.
Well, of course, I don't have the knowledge, the technical knowledge. It's not my expertise. I'm here because I met Philip, and I investigated the claims that it is a hoax. I've spoken to Don Patton, and I have a record of a 90 minutes conversation with him. And he has not been able to provide solid evidence that this is a hoax, that it was a made-up structure on Mount Ararat.
What evidence were you looking for? What evidence would you have accepted?
Well, photographs, for example, for people bringing up the wood up to the mountain, testimonies, whatever would be solid evidence. They claimed that the wood was transported from the Black Sea to Mount Ararat. There is no evidence for this. I talked also to Sahin, which is someone which was also involved in that claim, the hoax claim. He also was not able to provide whatever would be considered solid evidence that this was a made-up site on the mountain. So the major players here which have brought up this hoax claim, which I have contacted, they were not able to actually provide solid evidence to back up their claim.
So just to be clear, just so there's no confusion, I'm not making the claim this is in fact a hoax because I'm not in a position to assess that. I'm simply saying that people that have been in the area and associated with have laid these claims out, which should, I think, to most reasonable people kind of raise a flag. Doesn't mean that it is a hoax, but it means that we should be more cautious. We should demand more evidence to believe that this is genuine because it's a big claim, right? So, but it sounds like we won't get that for another year or two until,
or 3 or 4 or 5
however long it takes to do.
I would say if those sources which brought up that claim in 2010 would have actually, rather than hearsay, solid evidence, then this would be a settled issue. But I think based on the fact that the accusers do not have solid evidence to back up what they are claiming, so that is an open issue still.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the best we can say is that we don't know because it.
No, none of the accuser would ever agree to meet with me or with Parachute. What does that tell you?
I mean, not a whole lot. I don't want to get into psychoanalysis. I don't know who these. I've never met any of these guys.
Yeah,
so
the hissy fit world of creationists at loggerheads. We just sit back and watch.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know that it's a hoax. I'm just saying that these are the signs of things. These are the kind of tells you'd see if there's something weird going on.
Normally you don't carry reports from rivals, and if they do, they would never identify their source for the claim of. In other words, they base this on anonymous source. Now, that really violates journalistic ethics, and the newspaper that broke the story of the hoax was Christian Science Monitor. And I took the editor of the Christian Science Monitor to task for this. And he well, we're not going to cover this anymore, even though he covered it originally with the editor of the Skeptical Inquirer did the first reports. But I said, why are you breaking a story of such a serious charge based on anonymous charges? And really, so everybody has been doing this based on, and that's an ethics violation. It's slander, by the way.
There was one source that was identified, Dr. Saleh, and I'm going to butcher his name, so I'm not even going to try, but Dr. Saleh from McGill University, who I checked, he is a real person. I have no idea who he is, but I did see him on tape say explicitly that he was aware of this hoax. He was asked to be involved, and he declined. Now, maybe he's lying. I don't know the guy. But that's definitely not anonymous.
I think we can find a whole area of agreement on the entire panel that I would recommend that Phil write a proper scholarly piece summarizing and defending his positions and dealing with the fraud claims and all the rest, that Answers in Genesis or CMI or ICR should absolutely positively publish it, and whatever responses they want to put in, so everybody can see this debate going on up to date in 2021, not relying on stuff that's 5 years old and more.
Listen, I don't need to do that. The archaeologists will be doing that.
Well, I guess
they don't get involved in frauds. They don't get involved in things that are illegal or
that's not the point. That's you're skipping the point. People are accusing you of defending a thing that's very dicey. You insist that it's not dicey. That as a scholarly matter, the fact that all the material that we can find on it is at the little corners of the internet rather than in the various journals, even the archaeological journals, there could be ways to deal with this issue. Yeah. Controversies have been dealt with before in these areas, including stuff on creationist issues where ICR and AIG throw brickbats at each other on natural selection back and forth in their various journals. The idea that that this would not be a juicy topic to discuss, I can say, and I bet Jordan will agree with me, boy, we'd like to see that and have these points clarified. Defend your positions.
If the archaeologists publish in a peer-reviewed journal, I will happily concede that it's not a hoax.
Yeah, apart from the peer-reviewed archaeology, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And so if my little video of the climb, which is my words and my pictures, I don't know, are we going to show that? If that does it, that's my testimony.
Yeah, I was expecting that we would show that in our introduction. So if there is time that we can
Otangelo, I put the link to your previous debate there. You showed that entire video in the debate with David Knepp. So I put that link up in the live chat so anybody can go and see it full length because you showed it then.
If they only took 4 minutes for their opening, and so if they want to play their video, I personally don't have any objection.
I'm open to that. Philip and Otangelo, if you'd like to.
Okay,
Yes, I would like.
I'll agree to that if I may say a couple sentences about the Ice Age in India first.
Go ahead. I'd love to hear it.
The Ice Age in India is not Pleistocene. It dates from the Silurian, a couple 100 million years ago. India was not in the Northern Hemisphere at the time. It was parked down in the supercontinent next to Antarctica and South America and Australia. The Ice Age went from what is now the southern tip of India northward, which is why catastrophists like Velikovsky were making a big deal out of it in the pre-plate tectonic days back in the 1950s. It has been resolved. There are no Pleistocene ice ages anywhere in the Indian supercontinent, which in the intervening hundreds of millions of years had moved northward across the hot spot where New Zealand is, and then furthermore across the Seychelles Islands hot spot, which it was at the time of the KT mass extinction, and then slammed into the North American continent. So if at some point you wish to present any actual geological evidence for a Pleistocene glaciation, don't expect your paradigm shift that you're wanting to convince any of the geologists.
No. That's I have nothing to say one way or the other on that. Okay, can I share the screen?
You bet.
Okay, all right. Let's let me. Hope this is it.
All right, we can see it crystal clear.
Is there supposed to be sound?
I'm sorry?
Is there supposed to be sound?
Yes.
Oh, I'm not
music.
getting it in my end.
Gotcha. What we can do is I would just pause the video.
Although with captions, it shouldn't be a problem because as I recall from seeing it before, it was basically like a musical background and the captions were the basic info.
I'm sorry.
Okay, if you're okay with it, you can press play.
Yeah.
You got it.
It's got millions of views, and they're making money and stuff. Ads.
Solar panels are cool too. So
James should have a handy audio track that he can put up to cover material like that.
well, the actual the actual video has a sweet audio track.
Yeah, I remember it was a perfectly pleasant background music, but there was no narration.
If you if there is any sort of narration, like feel free, the audience can still hear you guys. Philip,
Sure.
if you want to add anything as you go
Yeah.
through it.
Yeah, these are my photos. Now, do you see these marks, like the black substance that's on the walls that you can see behind me? I've got a picture of the same site. The wall is black, but the interior boards are brown. But some of that pitch has, by the way, see that a board there is, I think it's a cage board. It's spaced about right. It seems that the first deck has collapsed, and a lot of material is just laying everywhere on the floor.
By the way, I have counted in all these videos, I've taken screenshots, and there are over 150 different big wooden structures and wooden planks there. So it's a huge amount of wood up there.
That's what I'm, as an example of a cage post. That's my interpretation. Now, these rings are very unusual. They're evenly spaced, like a different kind of growing season. By the way, this appears to be the massive amount of organic preservation from this period of history, the early Bronze Age. So it's a window on what things were like that nothing else would have preserved, because this has been frozen and preserved. That's an example of the wooden pegs or the nails that's holding this structure together, about every 18 inches. And it's common throughout the structure. And they are handcrafted, even though at first glance, some of this wood looks like modern wood. But we've never seen any wood from the age in which the pyramids were built.
The boats that are in the Khufu's pyramid, that would be.
Yeah, except the boats that are under there, and there are similarities. See the even rings there?
And the Egyptians neglected to notice the flood taking place while they were building pyramids. I think we can all agree that we look forward to the time when a proper archaeological analysis of this site is presented for everybody to see publicly. And I think we can all be in 100% agreement on our urging that.
What's the thing on the left there, the middle left? If you don't mind my asking, I don't want to step on your video. I was just curious.
The one with the arrow
Yeah,
and the circle?
Look kind of like flat, like a plywood or something. I don't know. I was just curious. Well, guess we'll find out in the peer-reviewed literature.
Well, thank you very
Fair
much.
is better than Ackridge.
This is a fine time to jump into the Q&A. So I want to say thanks for your questions, folks. Our guests are linked in the description. And also, folks, I forgot to mention earlier, we are thrilled about this upcoming debate in May. In particular, you'll see at the bottom right of your screen a debate on Bigfoot. Whether or not there is evidence for Bigfoot, that'll be a 2-on-2. We're really excited about it.
I'm rooting for Gigantopithecus.
It should be a juicy one. And so, folks, you don't want to miss that one. Hit that subscribe button and that notification bell, and that way you can enjoy that debate live. We are going to jump into these questions. So thank you very much, folks, for your questions. Sigma Any says, stoked. Thank you very much, Sigma Any. Glad you are. And Decepticons Forever says, to cover the 8,498 miles long, 16 meter per hour, not stopping for food or water, it would take a giant tortoise 6 years to get to the Galapagos from Mount Ararat. I think they're trying to, Otangelo, I think they're trying to offer an objection to the flood narrative from Genesis, namely saying, hey, a tortoise there's no chance that they could get from Mount Ararat to the Galapagos, where they now are, I guess, found.
Yeah, this is a big issue, and I think the major young Earth creationist organizations, they have tried to give compelling answers to this. I've not found a very compelling answer, so it is an open question. I asked Philip about this, and he said probably the level of the oceans wasn't that high that it is today. So there were probably land breaches where they could have traversed to go to Australia or so. But I agree, it is not an easy answer to
Otangelo, we are in agreement. Pop the champagne corks.
Hey,
Biogeography is a terrible problem for them. I'll go further. They can never account for it.
I've got in my book. I cover these historically known floating islands. Where's my camera here? That were actually recorded as being off the coast of Africa, and it's interesting that the wildlife in South America seems to be climbers, cats, snakes, llamas. The native. By the way, there used to be horses and camels in the Americas, but there was a big shift. You might be familiar with the megafauna extinction associated with
none of that
age.
was flood related, though, was it?
Well, in my paradigm, it is the flood.
You're going to cram all of that geology into 4,500 years.
A lot of questions. I hate to do this, but because we
go ahead, James.
This one coming in from Sigma Any says, why are there no kangaroo fossils considering the necessarily massive migration over water or not to Australia? And why did they migrate there alone?
My answer, this is obviously directed by the same zoologists who actually made these animals and created these animals. So, and actually, there's lots of ways to clever ways to solve this, or even supernatural ways. The account in the Bible, this was not a natural occurrence. This was a supernatural occurrences. But there was a change on every continent of the fauna between what's called the Ice Age or the Pleistocene era, whether it was Ice Age, whether it was glacier covered or not, and coming after that.
Gotcha. And
so
bubble.
there is evidence that the animals change.
Well, mainly because humans and climate change caused a lot of extinction. There's not been a spectacular amount of speciation events in the post-Ice Age period. And your paradigm ain't ever going to account for that, Phil.
It does wonderfully. It does wonderfully.
We await your monograph.
By the way, yeah, this was really climate change. That there was big climate change occurred. And by the way, in my paradigm, the world before the flood was actually colder. So the animals are larger.
Oh, really? The
Yeah,
dinosaurs
it's
lived in a
very-
cold climate?
We're gonna jump.
Listen, I'm not a younger creationist. Please, I don't think we're going to find any dinosaurs. This is not, I like Ken Ham, but this is not his paradigm.
So why are you leaving out the dinosaurs? Why are you concerned with kangaroos and not dinosaurs?
The dinosaurs are the birds, right?
Well, the
The
current
dinosaurs went aboard the ark with the birds.
Do you claim that?
Yes, I'm not a please listen to me. I'm not a creationist. I'm a scripture science. That's a new school.
So, whoa. You claim there were living dinosaurs at the time of Noah that were put on the ark.
No, I'm saying no.
Okay.
He's saying that the dinosaurs were birds.
Okay.
I think that's what
And
he's saying.
Otangelo, would you like to venture your opinion on this?
I have no opinion on this. So.
Juicy. And I see
Such
good
a
old
bundle of curiosity.
Mark Drisdale in the chat. Mark recently reached out for an epic rematch as we were excited about a potential debate with one of Mark's old rivals. So that may happen in May. Good to see you, Mark. But Bubblegum Gun says, to admit the ark existed is to admit God committed genocide to exterminate the creatures created by other gods or unicorns or fawns or dragons, etc.
I want that one. Listen, if you Google up Bronze Age violence or a Neolithic violence, you will see the Bible is telling the truth when it says there was tremendous violence all over. The cities are fortified. Many of these skeletons from this era show evidence of violence. It was a very, very violent world. In fact, drowning, I almost drowned several times, is actually the most peaceful way of passing. So it was an act of mercy to bring this antediluvian world
God
to an
can't
end.
just unmake people?
So
What?
Has to murder them? Yeah, misplaced concreteness, Phil.
Listen, he said, listen, if you don't listen to me, you'll get in trouble. So they rebelled and got in trouble.
If I can just, I don't want to take too much time because we got a bunch of questions. It seems to me that if we have an almighty, all-powerful God, and he, for some reason, wanted to kill every man, woman, and child on the planet except for one small family, I mean, he can just Thanos them, right? Snap their fingers. I mean, why the whole drama? Just do it. Just painless. Like
that would require a God.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, actually, it's interesting. The scriptures, the God of the Bible, he acknowledges the regular, ordinary processes. In fact, if there weren't these ordinary processes, there would be no such a thing as miracle. If everything was, just fantasy, make it up as you go along, there, it would be a different world than what science could study or what the Bible actually teaches. So the scriptures teach a regular order, a right order, but God did not make us as robots. So if we want to rebel, we can rebel. By the way, there's a second judgment that comes. In fact, the early Christians used the flood as a type of the second judgment when he does bring the world to an end a second time. And that will also make a great change in the world. And then the evil is taken care of.
Gotcha. This next one.
People, it's justice. It's based on justice.
This one coming in from Sigma Eni says, Otangelo, why or which do you consider more compelling evidence for the theist position? The ARC data, namely the kind of case that was made today, or the thoroughly debunked Shroud of Turin?
Well, I hope that we will have soon a debate on the Shroud of Turin. I don't think that the radiocarbon dating from 1988 is conclusive evidence that the shroud is not from the 1st century. So
juicy. And Farron Salas, good to see you, says the Bible says the flood happened, therefore the flood happened because the Bible says so. They're claiming that you're using, Philip, I think they're trying to press you, trying to say that you're using argumentum ad populum circular reasoning.
I really, when I started my investigation, because I was thoroughly scientific trained and historically trained like RJ, but I had reason for believing, was I won't talk about that right now. And I wanted to find out where did we go wrong, but I wasn't sure because the scientific evidence seemed to be so compelling that there was no flood. And so I made a search instead of geology, like the creationists used. I said, the best evidence should be found in archaeology. So I made the first ever archaeological search for Noah's flood, and I published it. And I did the migrations, RJ. If you actually get that's why you need a hard copy.
Yeah, I would be delighted and honored, and will publicly thank you if you send me one.
Yeah, you email me your address, and I'll get it out pretty quickly.
rjdownard@aol.com.
I have a copy. I can send it to you.
Yeah, I mean your snail mail address if you want a hard copy, which I want you to have.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, you'll just email that to me.
You got it. And this next one, thank you very much for your question. This one coming in from Jeff Cordell says, thanks for your kind words. Says, thank you for hosting premium content. I'm glad to finally be able to join in on the fun. Thanks so much, Jeff, for being with us. We appreciate your encouragement. That means a lot. And Merlin72001 says, Phil claiming he'll get them the evidence later is no different than saying, let's see. They say, I don't believe it. I'm skeptical. And
put the address in the chat, Phil.
And let's see.
What address?
In the internal chat here. Only we can see that. If you go down to your little menu and click on the chat thing, it'll pop up down at the bottom.
You could always
what are you asking for?
The question came from Merlin72001 said, Phil claiming that he'll get them the evidence later is something that you could use for any type of case, you could say.
Checks in the mail.
Sure. Well, it goes in stages. This has been an incredibly difficult project because it requires bringing the world-class archaeologists in. It requires getting archaeological permission. It requires getting permission from the government, from different ministries. It requires that the weather cooperate after you've spent huge amounts of money for an expedition, and then the snows or something else or some political condition can easily. And of course, the mountain has been closed, and that's quite true. I'm not here to do the scientific part. I'm here with my own testimony. But by the way, RJ, I don't know that this is Noah's Ark. I do believe in my heart that it is. I just can't provide the evidence that you would be wanting and others would be wanting, and that's why. And I shouldn't be the one doing that. There should be somebody completely independent of me, and it is.
Gotcha. And this one comes in from, thank you very much for your question. EndoXD says, do ancient drawings of dinosaurs prove that they coexisted with humans?
Short answer, no. There aren't.
I don't think maybe Antangelo believes that. But Don Patton, which was quoted as an authority that this was a hoax, he believes that and teaches that and is famous for that.
That's the official. You still see articles popping up at ICR and AIG on that kind of stuff, and there's a huge body. Phil Sentner, among others, have diced and sliced those arguments to shreds over the past years.
Well, most of the creationist organization also reject that as well.
Well, they're ambivalent. At the top level, they kind of avoid the subject, but you see postings popping up quite a lot that still kind of wave them there, the Ica stones and things like that. But that's a whole side issue for me.
Tangelo, do you have any words for this topic?
Well, in regards of humans with dinosaurs,
that's right.
There are some caves with images which portray dinosaurs, so it might be an indication that actually people saw dinosaurs before the flood. So it is
source citation needed.
Well, I have a topic on my library in regards of that. I can send it to you, RJ. You can look it up.
Yeah, well, I got my address in there, so you can
That's right. You could, if you, you put RJ's address. Feel free to put that in the old live chat for everybody. Okay,
I'm okay with it. I use my mug on all of my material. I think I've got my mailing address in my books in that as well. I have the advantage of being an old retired fart, and so I'm down with the doxing.
We appreciate RJ. Want to let you know we appreciate RJ and Jordan and Otangelo and Philip. They're all linked in the description, folks. Also, that's right, Philip. I've got to get your. What was the name of your? I can put it in right now. What was the name of your web page? I missed it while we were setting up.
ETH Threshing Floor. It should be the no. That's the. Oh, I have a website at ChristianLeadersandScholars.com, and you could see my book on that. To be honest, I haven't done a lot of. I did hitch my work to this discovery, so it's delayed it. But it's also mean that I haven't. There's been no organization promoting this, so you haven't heard it.
Gotcha.
And because it destroyed no organizations paradigms that worked in this area. It's this is not good. It's a challenge to all of them. So it would require something new to accept this. That's
you got it.
So,
and
yeah.
With that, the next question is. Dave Garr says, how's the hike up Mount Ararat? Is it easy or difficult?
Yeah, I'm the only one that can answer that. Actually, I didn't mention anything about that, but we were actually, that journal that you were seeing on the video, I was actually sending that out to some friends, and it got into the wrong hands. And we found ourselves being a set of spies, really bad-looking people, were actually tailing us, and that delayed us getting on the mountain for a week or two till we were able to convince them that we weren't going to show them where the site was. And then after we switched them, then a big storm come up and destroyed our mess tent, and we almost lost our climbers. Parachute had to get them out and had to make a new mess tent. So it's almost the time when I only have another day, 2 days, and we're going to have to leave. And I had the one day I got up and I'm said, well, I'm not going to worry about getting ready to climb today because it's not going to happen. And Parachute calls me, says, where are you? I'm saying, we're at the hotel. And that was at 2,600 feet. That was at 9 o'clock in the morning. Now, about 4 o'clock in the morning, we've gone from an SUV to a Land Rover to horses. And so in about 6 hours, I go from 2,600 feet to about 14,000 feet. And I get altitude sickness. When you see me pictured in front of that, I was so sick, I did not even want to go in.
It's comparable to Mount Rainier, and people die on that every year. It's a treacherous climb.
Yeah, but I said, Parachute said, who's going to go in first? I said, well, let Sheila decide. And she decided to go in first, the archaeological official. But by the time she had gotten in, or while she was in there, that sickness just miraculously disappeared. So I'm really alert while I'm in there, and I'm not using my tools. I'm using my hands for measures and everything. So then we come out, but we've got to get down before nightfall. But as soon as we get out, that sickness returns. And I expected to die on that mountain. And Parachute took Sheila ahead and got her off of it. And Devoot, the other gentleman you see in one of those pictures, he allowed me to move just a few feet. And but if we stopped, we would freeze to death. If we kept going in the nightfall, we would, it's impossible. It was too treacherous. And then I heard him, he kept encouraging me. And then he said, a horse. And Parachute was able to get a horse up there to get me off that mountain. And while I'm on that horse, I'm delirious. I hardly remember the climb back. But the only way to treat altitude sickness is get somebody off the mountain. But he saved my life. Parachute did.
Yeah, I think we can all agree as well. We love the political circumstance in that region to settle down to the point where archaeologists and scientists can positively crawl over the area freely to investigate all of these things and settle an awful lot of issues. I think we can all give thumbs up to that.
Gotcha. And this one from Tisha Thomas says, Dura Pinar site is the Ark. If any one of you wants to see the scientific, in all caps, proof of the global, in all caps, flood, then get it from, quote, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, proof of God. Gotcha.
I think he's being snarky.
No, there's another site where they did like this electrical imaging. That might be the site he's talking about. The pictures are super fancy. Like, you can't throw a stick on that mountain without hitting an arc somewhere.
Gotcha. And thank you very much for your question. NOXD says, were Nephilims, namely giants who were 4,500 feet tall, on the ark? Were they swimming around for an entire year? They're talked about before the flood and after the flood.
I think that number is kind of an exaggeration.
Yeah, I think the Nephilim are like giants, but not like,
The Bible is very vague on the subject, and there's been an awful lot of fan fiction done by apologists over the years, and I will leave that to somebody with a stiffer stomach than I have.
Otangelo, what are your thoughts? People are dying to hear you speak, Otangelo.
Well, I don't know about these Nephilims. This is too speculative for me. I mean, the Bible mentions them, but since there is not much details in regards of those, I am not very interested in that subject.
Well, we know that Nephilim are free. Yuck, yuck.
Well, I mean, the Nephilim, there are people which speculate on these topics. I don't. So, yeah.
Juicy.
Apparently, Nephilim and people were like boinking unauthorizedly, according to Genesis, but that's about all that we get on them.
Next
in my
up,
book,
this one comes in from, do appreciate your question, Creo Debunk says, please ask the old earther. So, do I understand right? Otangelo, young earther, Philip, you'd be old earth?
yes.
And please ask the old earther, Philip, his name's on the screen, Creo. Okay, say, what is his flood and general paleontology model?
Well, the flood is these prehistoric, the archaeological evidence of these prehistoric graves. The zoological evidence is the megafauna extinctions. And by the way, RJ, the end of the Ice Age is an interesting thing. I challenge most archaeologists to determine it was done before. It was determined to be about 12,000 years ago. That's the Holocene, before scientific radiocarbon dating, and it's still 12,000 years.
Oh, that's because there was a lot of independent ways to date that didn't involve the direct dating.
It was kind of interesting how they did date that. If you know the history, it was originally based on erosions of Niagara Falls, and Lyle was very much involved in that. And because Egypt was covered in the Ice Age, they determined that Ice Age had to end when Egyptian civilization rose.
There's no Pleistocene glaciation in that. That's way. In fact, that was an entirely different area of the Messinian salinity crisis and all that other stuff. And there was no Ice Age in Egypt in recent times.
Oh, well, we're talking about it was covered with water, and Lyle attributed it to the melting of the waters of the Ice Age. He was very much involved
in the 1860s, and what modern geology developed since then are never the twain shall meet.
They're still taking the date, and the only thing that I can find of where they got the date for the end of Ice Age and the beginning of Egyptian civilization was Herodotus speaking to an Egyptian priest, and based on a mythical priesthood that he calculated about 12,000 years ago.
Yeah, well, we've got way more archaeology on that, including the desertification of the Sahara, paleoclimate work on the pre-dynastic period, and that's why I would like to see your book to find out how much of that pops up in your bibliography.
I'll give you the last word, Philip, because the question is for you. Then we got to go to the next question.
Okay. It's interesting that they're still confirming the mythically derived date of about 12,000 years, or maybe 14,000, depending on how how you count the dating of Herodotus. So
Gotcha.
the scientific dating is confirming the dating based on a myth, which, yeah.
This one from Harry White for you, RJ, says, will RJ debate Kent Hovind on young Earth creation?
I have already, but I will. If anybody wants to set it up for a rematch,
That was our first.
I called him a bottom feeder, and he called me the altar boy of atheism, and we ended on such a charming note.
It was very sweet. That was our first big debate here at Modern Day Debate, folks. That was our first one where we had over 30 viewers.
And you had thought that I didn't want to debate Kent, and I was telling you, au contraire, I have been itching to debate Kent for years.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I debated him, and he was great. I don't know why you two got into it. He loved me.
It was a
Oh,
fun
well,
one.
I'm an old fart. You're a cuddly. I'm about the same age as Kent is, and both of us look like we've been left out in the rain too long.
It was epic. It was epic. So next up, thank you very much for your question. This one coming in from Mark Drisdale says, please, one question. We have seen the effects of inbreeding in cheetahs. How is the 2 times 2 even slightly realistic? I think they're saying like bringing on. I'm not sure what they mean by 2 by 2. Was it?
Unclean animals are 2 animals. Clean animals are 7. The major point is the population genetics of any animals aboard the Ark consistent with what we see? People like Jeffrey Tompkins and Nathaniel Jensen tried to argue that it is consistent with the genetics, but they haven't convinced any geneticist of that. And I can kick that over to Dan Stern Cardinale, who is a geneticist who will guffaw in great detail to point out why none of that holds water.
The term is genetic bottlenecking, I believe.
Yeah.
We'll give Otangelo, I think it was originally directed, it was an argument toward you or a challenge toward you. We'll give you the last word and we'll go to the next one. Otangelo, what are your thoughts on this in addition to RJ's?
What was the topic? What was the question?
Otangelo, they said, we have seen the effects of inbreeding in cheetahs. How is 2 bringing on a male and a female of each animal for a lot of the animals, though different numbers for different animals? How is that possibly going to work out with the inbreeding of just a single pair of, let's say, cheetahs that you bring on the Ark and that get off the Ark afterward?
No idea. I've not studied the topic.
Gotcha. And thank you very much. He also asked, how was it okay for Noah to, quote unquote, know his grandchildren?
Oh, and he had a drinking problem too.
Otangelo, I think this is for you.
I think he's thinking a lot.
When they say no, they don't mean like meeting them. They mean
it in the biblical sense.
right. Any thoughts, Otangelo?
A lot of incest after that flood.
That's rabbinic myth. It's not in the scripture.
Gotcha. Next one. Thank you very much for your question. This just flew in. Harry White says, will RJ debate Kent Hovind? Oh, I got that. So want to say thank you very much, folks, for your questions.
The record cracked. We're repeating ourselves.
We want to say thank you so much to our guests. It's been a true pleasure. We really do appreciate them. We are going to let them go, as we really do just appreciate them spending their time with us. They are linked in the description, folks. Highly encourage you to check them out. And so
I think this was a fun chat.
It was indeed. So with that, folks, I will be back in a moment with a post-credit scene letting you know about sweet upcoming debates such as this one, a Bigfoot debate in, this month. It's already May. So I'll be right back in just a moment, folks. Thanks so much, and keep sifting out the reasonable from the unreasonable. Ladies and gentlemen, that was an epic one. We really do appreciate our guests. They're linked in the description. And boy, oh boy, lots of cool news, you guys. I am excited to share with you. One, we are so close to locking in our next big event, which would be early June, so a month from now, in which, I can't tell you, but somebody big, somebody epic in terms of their debating is coming back to Modern Day Debate. You don't want to miss that, folks. It's going to be epic, and that's in early June, so about a month away. And we have many more juicy debates coming up. Not just this Bigfoot debate. We've talked about that, folks. That's fun. It's cool. But we are probably going to have a lot more political debates in May, as we have not had a ton of political debates, and we're excited about that. So you don't want to miss that, folks. We also want to say hi. I'm excited to say hello to you. I just like getting to hang out with you guys. That's also what this post-credit scene is for. And so I just want to say hello to you in the chat. Marion Gran Bruheim, thanks for being with us, as well as Benny and Haxt, good to see you again. I Like Turtles, good to see you again. Aaron Anderson, thanks for coming by. Mark Drisdale, of course, good to see you. Beelzebud, thanks for being with us. Sydney V, good to see you again. And CD, thanks for coming by. And Brian Griffin, good to see you again. Mac HD 2021, good to see you again. Kilgore Trout, good to see you. As well as Reservoir of Gore, Cute Fuzzy Weasel, thanks for coming by. And Susie Smith. Is this the first time we've seen you here? We hope you feel welcome, Susie. Want to let you know, folks, if you did not already know this, Modern Day Debate is a neutral platform hosting debates on science, religion, and politics. And we want you to feel welcome no matter what your view is, whether you're a Christian, atheist, Muslim, gay, straight, black, white, Democrat, Republican, you name it. We hope you feel welcome. We really do appreciate you hanging out with us. It's a fun kind of melting pot here. So welcome to the community. We hope you enjoy your time. As always, for me, I just enjoy it. You guys, it's fun to be here. I love these debates, and so it is honestly a great time for me. So anyway, saying hello to more people in the chat. Is it pronounced Soli Deo Gloria? Thanks for being with us, as well as Nicholas, Proclaimer of Messiah. Thanks for coming by. And Reservoir of Gore and DeFreak, John Schallenberger, thanks for being here as well. We're glad you're here. Farron Salas, good to see you again. It's funny. Oh, it said Oliver, or it said that Otangelo checked out an hour and a half ago. Let's see. I'm catching up on the chat. It's moving fast on me. Hold on, folks. I'm almost there. Good to see you, James Downard, in the chat. So forgive me for being so cranky tonight, James Downard. RJ, I'm sorry. I was cranky tonight. I know. I was also cranky with Big Screen Bird. We'll talk. Big Screen Bird said, well, thanks for being so, honestly, for real, Big Screen Bird, thank you for being so you're kind about it. So said, I apologize. I didn't catch the whole debate and just saw him mention his book more than once. No disrespect meant. Thanks for understanding where I'm coming from, Big Screen Bird. I really should have broached the topic with you in a more gentle way, and I'm really sorry about that myself. So I hope you can forgive me for being so heavy-handed when it just wasn't wise. It wasn't mature. So I'm sorry about that on my part. Thanks for being willing to listen to me and being willing to like reason with me and meet me halfway. Basically, so yeah, Big Screen Bird, I'm glad we're on the same page now. Thanks for understanding. And yeah, folks, it's something that, anyway, long story short, Big Screen Bird, welcome. Glad you're here. And thanks for being patient with me. You guys could probably tell I was a little bit cranky today. I think maybe I'm not sure why. I don't know why, but because I feel like I got a decent amount of sleep last night. That's usually the trick. But anyway, Creo Debunk, good to see you. And Kevin Brown, glad you're here. Richard Luongo, thanks for coming by. Bill, is it pronounced well or Bill Whale? Let me know, Bill. This is embarrassing for me that I know that I probably asked you before. I think I have, but I'm getting there. I'm a work in progress. But Reservoir of Gore said, didn't you want to prod Otangelo into participating more? Great stuff. Again, James. One thing. So yeah, it's true. Otangelo was, what would you describe him as? Silent and seductive? I don't know. Whatever you want to say. He didn't say a lot. The reason was because right before we went live, Otangelo basically deferred more to Philip, and he said, hey, Philip knows more about this than me. and he said, I'm kind of like here in addition, but I'm not as much, he basically, I should have let you guys know that, because a lot of people were wondering, like, why isn't Otangelo saying much? But Otangelo has some knowledge of the topic, or you could say he's got some engagement on the topic previously, but he, like I said, Philip is someone who's looked into it much more. So thanks, Dave Garr, for being here. Said, great debate. Everyone won. GG. We're glad you enjoyed it, and it certainly was fun. And Hannah Anderson, good to see you. Said, big event. It is for sure going to be big. And Ophir, seriously, we want to ask you if you would please refrain from insulting the guests. And the reason I say that is I'm trying to level with you, because I'm like, bro, please, I don't want to like block you, but and I know you're going to be like, you're going to try to be alpha. So I know that that's the thing for you. You're going to be like, well, just block me, man. I don't care. Just block me. I'm just going to be me. I'm not trying. I'm just teasing you. Don't get mad. Ophir, I love you. But the thing is, we do want to ask that everybody would be kind to our guests. And Ophir, I'm serious though, that I don't want to block you. So I'm going to give you the old timeout, just because calling Matt Dillahunty, Matt Dilla, whatever you call him, is something that is like, it's not sustainable for our channel to have people trash the guests. Because one thing I got to tell you guys, 99%, I thank you. 99% of you, I'm so thankful, because you're reasonable and pleasant and kind and fun. So like, don't get me wrong when I call out some of the stuff in the chat that I don't like. Don't get me wrong. I like so many people, like I said, 99% are great, but it's true. Like, man, I've looked at some of the comments today of like past videos I was skimming through, and there are so many people that are like, they just love, well, one is like, they'll oftentimes be like, oh, you should never have this person back. They're terrible. Or they'll maybe just, without even saying that, they'll just say, this person's so stupid. Can't believe they would be on here. And it's like, I think that maybe they're trying to like make it so that the person doesn't come back or something. And I'm like, yeah, if you're going to try to thwart the purpose of this channel, which is to have people from all sorts of different perspectives, if someone's in the chat trying to insult the speaker to try to like say like, oh yeah, they should never come back on this show, then it's like pretty obvious you're working against us, right? Like, in terms of you're working against modern day debate. And so it's kind of like, why? So that's why we do have that rule. But Guy Torrey, good to see you. I can tell you it's not Aaron. So I don't want to trick anybody into thinking that it will be Aaron. It's not Aaron. Aaron does respond to my emails, but he's not always happy when he does. I love Aaron, and we're going to try to get him back, and I'm very serious about that. I really do like Aaron a lot, for real. I think I told you guys that I met him before, and when you get to know Aaron, because I know some people, they've had run-ins with Aaron, Steve McRae, but I just really enjoyed, as a person, as a human being, spending time with Aaron. I was like, he's a very authentic, and he just a strange way reminded me of family. I don't know. He puts you at ease. And that's surprising, because when you first see Aaron, he looks like a big biker. I think he's maybe taller than me, and I'm not that tall, but I'm about 6'1", and so Aaron's a large man, and he looks, like, I don't know, maybe like a biker, but he, like I said, his demeanor is he's a really pleasant person to be around. And so anyway, Oliver Catwell says, hi, James. Hi, Oliver. Good to see you. I hope your travels are going well. I'm excited for you. Man, that's exciting stuff. And Susie Smith says, bring back Matt Dillahunty. That might happen. You never know, Susie. And I'm very serious. Louis Preciado says, hi, James, are you using the new camera? Looks a lot sharper. I agree, it looks a lot sharper. I'm not yet using a new camera. I'm using my old camera. However, I made 2 changes. 1, a little bit less light, because I can tilt the light. 2, I got a new screen in the background, because Cam from Capturing Christianity sent me a message, and he's like, bro, you're so washed out. You remember when my forehead would be like, it looked like it was a light bulb inside of my forehead shining through, and you're like, ah. That's one thing that this gray instead of black sheet in the background makes a big difference. So I am really glad about that. It's hard to see the blue light. I'm trying to make that more apparent. You can barely see, but anyway. And Hacks, good to see you, says, hi, and thanks, James. Thanks for your kind words. Appreciate your support. And Marion Grant Bruheim says, says, greetings from the Kingdom of Norway. Oh, that's awesome. I'm so glad. Thanks for staying up late with us. It's pretty late. And then, yeah, we really do appreciate you. I Like Turtle says, thanks, James. Love you all too. Have a good evening. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. And then Fish Frog Dolphin says, hello, good to see you. And Schrammer Jr., good to see you again, says, can't wait for Bigfoot. Get pumped. I definitely appreciate that, and I couldn't agree more. Thanks for your super chat from JC93013 says, please say beta male, imitating Jesse Lee's voice. LOL. That's funny. He's a beta. Yeah, I really do. It's we have had Jesse on before if you guys haven't seen it. So, but yeah, do want to remind you. I know that it's like yeah. So that's the thing. So some reason some of you felt even more, what's the word I'm looking for? You felt even a small percent, like 1% of the chat, felt more compelled to insult the guests, which again, it's like, we've warned you. Like, we want you to attack the arguments, not the person, right? And I'm amazed that some people are like, what? You're gonna be this like dictator type person and say that you're gonna make that a rule, and it's like, yes, I'm so bad because I'm asking you to attack arguments instead of people. Like, I'm amazed at that. But thanks for being with us as well. God's Leg says, I never really comment on here, but I love this channel. Thank you for your kind words. We appreciate that support. And Brooke Chavez says, we can still make it to 200 likes. Folks, please do hit that like if you enjoyed this debate. Or hey, maybe you were like, I didn't enjoy it. Well, hit the down vote. That way you can express yourself, like get it off your chest. Welcome to the show. Get it off your chest. And Hannah Anderson, thanks so much for your support. Says also, if you haven't already, please subscribe and hit that notification bell for notifications of future debates. More fun for everyone. And it is so true. We have many more debates coming up, you guys. I am excited. We're going to have a ton in May, and we're going to have a ton in June, and we're looking to have new topics, new juicy stuff. And so let's see. CD, thanks for your kind words. Says, thank you, Modern Day Debate. Good to see you have the kinks ironed out of the cam. I know that's more than half of getting a new camera. Cameras can fall in your lap, but it's all about the output. That's so true, and that's something I've got to work on even with this camera, because this sheet behind me is actually gray, but to you, it probably, if you have the same like view that I have, it looks pink or orange. But thanks for your huge and generous super chat, Scotty. Really do appreciate that. That means a lot. If you meant to attach something to it, you can always tag me in the chat and let me know what you meant to attach to it. But I really do appreciate it, whether it be to share a comment or just for the purpose of supporting the channel. Thanks so much, seriously. And let's see. Top Hot 2, good to see you. So just remember yesterday's debate and how good today's was. Hit the like. Yeah, that's right. Yesterday was interesting. So tonight was a little more calm. Let's see. I feel bad. RJ, if you're out there, I'm so sorry to have, man, I was like kind of abrasive tonight. Thanks for your patience with me, RJ. Soli Day Gloria says, light it up, James. Thank you. Appreciate it. And thanks, Big Screen Bird, for being so cool about it. Seriously, man, we're cool. I appreciate you, man or woman, whoever you are, if you don't like being called man. Susie Smith says, James, how about the topic of incest via Noah's Ark and Adam and Eve? We should ask Standing for Truth, because he loves all the genetic stuff, or at least some parts of genetic stuff, in the context of like creation evolution debates. So that we should definitely, I'll ask him. For real, I will actually. Let me write that down because it's interesting. So thanks for that idea, Susie, seriously. And it's certainly a new idea. Let me put this in the old thing for good old Standing for Truth, where I'll say, hey bro, you want to do this? Twitch chat, so sorry I'm so slow to say hello. Tapazzo, good to see you. Poor Lucy, glad you're here. Brooke Sparrow, thanks for coming by. Brooke Sparrow says, when's the next Patreon meeting? It's in sometime this month in May. I'm sorry that's so unhelpful. I don't know yet. Right now it's so crazy busy. I'm like really behind with my semester is wrapping up. I don't really have too much paper type of research or work to do, but I've got to write the exam for my own students, and then I've got a couple short papers. But long story short, this next week is going to be really busy, so I promise I'll let you know once I find out. And Kilgore Trout says, you need more Hawaiian barbecue in your diet, James. That could be true. And Mac HD says, not enough coffee. And let's see. This chat's still moving fast on me. Oliver Catwell says, I think it was cool to have an old Earther and young Earther on the same team. That was interesting. Poor Otangelo. But yes. NOIC says, do I believe Bigfoot exists? I'm pretty open-minded. I'm actually very open. No, I mean, consider it this way, folks. Like, in other words, I'm like, I don't know. I'm honestly, like, pretty firmly on the fence. So I wouldn't say no. I don't know if I'd say, I don't think I'd quite say yes. Here's one argument that Destiny made, by the way. This is in his debate with Kent Hovind. I don't know how it came up, but Destiny mentioned something interesting, which is that as cell phones and cameras in particular became more common and more cheap, more people can, now you get a camera, and even one of those old brick phones has a camera in it. Destiny made the point that it's like, well, pictures, like especially credible pictures of Bigfoot, there are even less of them as phones have come out with cameras and things like that. I mean, assuming that's true, which I'm like, yeah, I would concede it's probably true. Like, the most famous picture is from a long time ago. That's the one with, I can't remember the name, but long story short, I'm like, yeah, it is kind of weird. I mean, maybe it died since then, if there were any around since recently. The reason that I'm sympathetic is it's pretty interesting that you guys heard Dr. Jeffrey Meldrum made the case that, well, maybe this is like a large type of ape that's just, which makes it a lot less like magical, right? It seems it's a lot more like, oh, if it's like some sort of like weird distant relative of like gorillas and orangutans, and because he mentioned, as RJ mentioned in the debate, like Gigantopithecus, which like seems to match the typical description that Bigfoot, alleged Bigfoot observers or claim that they saw. So I'm like, I don't know, like that's I think the best way to try to make the case if you're going to make the case. And I always thought that it's like, you don't have to say that it's magical or like supernatural or like and like you can even like just like anyway, I'm tired. JC says, please say, yeah, we are the beta, but yeah, let's see. Brian Griffin says, doctor, I've got very bad news. You've got cancer and Alzheimer's patient. Well, at least I don't have cancer. You have a dark sense of humor, my friend, but we're glad you're here. So, Ophir says, I now unmuted you, and it says, I put you on mute here. So whatever you said to me, I was wasted on deaf ears. Literally. If you recall, I was actually nice to Matt that night. Ooh, Ophir, you're feisty. I like that. Sexy. Oliver Catwell says, 'tis you that is sharp. Thank you, Oliver, for your kind words. And I always thought 6'1's not that tall, right? Like, because I'm technically even 6'1.5" but I round up. Standard rounding rules say I can round up. So it's not like I'm 6'1/4" rounding up to 6'1". I'm 6'1.5" rounding up to 6'1". Standard rounding rules, people. Seriously. Okay, so anyway, let's see. Spicy Roads, good to see you. And Nero, good to see you. Are there 2 Neros in chat tonight? One Nero made me laugh because one of the Neros posted, I can't stop thinking about Tangelo, which I temporarily pinned it. It was, it just made me laugh. I loved how Angelo was becoming a meme during this debate too. It was just funny that people were saying, I couldn't help but say it myself, that, Tangelo is debate. Just like male modeling is Derek Zoolander. I can't remember the order of it. But Sigmani says, now James just got to get it. That color balance sorted. Yeah, you're right. The color balance is off. And Hannah Anderson was right. Yeah, the light was bouncing off my head so much that it was like frightening. Let's see. Truth Shoes 101, good to see you. Yeah, you remember we used to have that cool light that would light up? It's hard to get it to work with standard OBS. I've got to use Streamlabs. You remember when it would, like, if someone new subscribed to the channel, it would like light up green in my room, like the room that I was streaming from, which was really cool. Like, it's pretty hip, right? And so Ophir says I was actually nice. Oh yeah, I believe you. Don't worry about it. Dan Bridison, thanks for being with us. RJ1, thanks for being with us. Said, are you the one controlling modern day debate or someone else doing it in the background? I'm controlling it. Yeah, I'm doing everything at once. So I'm doing I'm doing OBS, I'm doing Zoom, and then interacting with the chat. So that is me during the debates. Like when I'm saying like, hey, so-and-so, we're glad you're here. Like that's actually like, I'm doing that, and my attention is bouncing back and forth between the debate and the chat, which I agree, maybe not a good thing because, but it also kind of helps. Like I don't want to be strongly involved moderating, and the reason is because you're like, oh yeah, James, like because some people hate our style here. It's on purpose, like it's not an accident. Some people hate our style that I, as a moderator, am not very involved. I'll get involved if I'm irritable, like, or if it's like, man, this person's clearly cutting this person off. Like it's not just like one or two times. It's like, it seems to be a pattern now. I'll jump in. But we purposely, like, I like not moderating for the purpose of, I like doing it just only sparingly because we want it to be spontaneous. We don't want it to be like, oh, I got to control everybody. And like, oh, like that is just boring. So JC says, James, are you a gym bro? I do lift all the time, no joke. I do it because it's just great to get stress out. I really do enjoy it, for real. So like for me, not going to the gym can be kind of tough. I am taking this week off though. Yeah, the whole week. So but my joints are pain, because I've gone every single day for probably like 3 months almost, other than a snow day. But Reservoir of Gore says, can you get Bobo from Finding Bigfoot on the show? I'd be willing to try. I don't know who he is, but I would be open to it. And hello, Wick Lyovin. Is it Wick Lyovin or is it Wick Loven? We're glad you're here. And DeFreak says, Bigfoot exists? Aliens? Simple answer. Jesus Christ can do anything he wants. Thank you for your feedback. And Norman Bates says, James is in the Matrix. Brian Griffin says, beta male. Yeah, it's, Norman Bates says, I am an alpha male. Thank you for that. And I agree. Mac HD 2021 says, that light was cool. You should get it to get working again, James. I agree. And I actually am kind of like, yeah, how could I get that to work? I stream at my office. If I streamed at home, I probably could. So I might have to start streaming at home because I did love it. Well, the only problem is to use that light, you've got to use Streamlabs. And if you use Streamlabs, sometimes Streamlabs would just all of a sudden shut down on me on random. And other streamers have told me it happens. So we couldn't risk that. I mean, imagine it's like if we have like somebody like, especially if it's like a paid debate. So like, and then one of the debaters, they're here and they're like, they're like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, oh, sorry guys, the stream dropped. So anyway, maybe I'll see if they've fixed it yet, but that sucks because it sucks so bad because Streamlabs is, I think, better than OBS. It's got some cool bell and whistle type things that make it better, but they constantly just shut down for some reason. RJ1 says, man, that's hard. It's amazing. Thank you for your encouragement, RJ1. Thanks for your positivity. That means a lot. Reservoir of Gore says, Betafoot and Soy Squatch. That's so true. And Hax says, you do a great job, James. Thanks for your kind words. That seriously means a lot. I do appreciate it. And then Mr. Mandude C says, is this Tangelo from the ACA? Yes, the one and only. Norman Bates says, James is the godfather of modern debate. Thanks for your kind words. Ophir says, I like the style. Keep doing it how you like, James. Thanks for understanding. Well, here, the funny thing, too, is thanks for being like that, Ophir. I really do appreciate it because you have no idea how many emails, direct messages, sometimes even Facebook messages, comments. Even someone posted on my personal Facebook wall one time telling me how to do the channel. Like you screwed up this. You should have done it this way. No joke. Like, it was that rude. It was that, like, it was like, you're a stranger. I don't even know you. I've never met you. Like, that was when I used to accept everybody as a friend on Facebook because before things like that started happening, I used to accept everybody, but now I'm like a little bit, I'm not as quite as like on Facebook accepting people as new friends that I haven't met because that person, it was like, you're a stranger. I've never met you in my life. And here you are chewing me out on my personal Facebook wall, like saying that I sucked at this and I should have done modern day debate this way instead. And I'm like, are you like, I'm like, is this like, are you a parody of yourself? Like, how is this real? Like, it's just hard to believe that it was like real. So Nero says, Jim is life, LOL. You're right about that. And Pedro HM, good to see you, says beta monkey, like without a Y though? I don't understand. Did you mean to say monk? But Patrick Vaughn, thanks for being here, says, hi, James. Appreciate you saying hello. And yeah, you get endorphins from your exercise. It's true. It's awesome. Glad you made it, Lockbeard. Thanks for coming by. Hey, someone from Oshkosh, Wisconsin, my hometown, was in the chat tonight. And they were like, hey, I'm in Oshkosh. And I was like, how's my hometown? And I didn't see them, though. I missed anything they said, though. So, but hopefully Oshkosh as well. Nobody here is from Oshkosh, I'm sure. But the Machines of Love and Chaos, thanks for being here. Said, do a Shroud of Turin debate. Otangelo, is that you posing as the Machines of Love and Chaos account? But just kidding. I'm just teasing you. We probably will do that topic. I would think it would be fun. It's a new one, but I think it'd be fun. So Rezoat of Gore says, it's your thing. You do what you want to do. Thank you for your, here's the thing. The Coochie Barber says, oh gosh, that doesn't sound good. Says, James, you can accept me as a friend on Facebook. Maybe it really is like, ever since that person, I'm just kind of like, yeah, I don't know if I like this. I don't know if I like it when people post on my wall. That's weird. So yeah, long story short, I'm not saying you would, but I've been really hesitant ever since that. But yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I guess it's good that I have, like, sometimes it's tiring to get so many messages and Facebook posts and DMs and comments of people saying, you should do modern day debate this way. Because they care, apparently, right? Like, I always think at least they care. And so when I have haters, and believe, like, for real, folks, there are like hundreds of haters. There are a lot of people that hate this channel. I think of it in, you could say, positive lighting. I think of it as, at least they care. At least we're having an impact. Most of the people that come into contact with this channel, I think, like it. And that's encouraging. Like, that makes me feel good. That makes me feel happy that people are getting some sort of use out of it. And I'm like, hey, that's great. We hope it's fun. We hope people enjoy it. And so, but yeah. Jeff Cordell says, 3 more likes. We're at 199 likes, folks. Let's hit that 200 mark. Thank you for your support, folks. We are so close, I can feel it. We just hit 200 likes. Thank you so much for your support, everybody. Fish Rock Dolphin says, beta male. And Brooke Chavez, I trust you. I know you really well. Thanks, JC, for your kind words. Says, I listen to debates daily. I'm about to run out. That's funny. Well, JC, are you listening via podcast? See here on screen, this right side of the screen here. Check us out on your favorite podcast app. Folks, if you haven't, pull out your favorite podcast app right now. I don't care which podcast app it is. We're on there. Believe me. And you're going to be like, oh, I don't know, James. I've got a podcast app that I use that nobody's really heard of it. So I don't think you're already on there, James. I use Pocket Casts or Dog Catcher, or I'm trying to think of the other ones that I'm like, when I first heard about it, I was like, what the? Overcast or Castbox. We're on there. I'm dead serious. I worked really hard. Like, I put in a ton of time getting our debates on podcast apps. So not just these podcast apps, but if you have Stitcher, Apple, Spotify, Podcast Addict, Google Podcasts, whatever you have as a podcast app, for real, pull it up and type in Modern Day Debate. Look for us right now, and you'll find us. And I'm really excited about that because, one, I've put in a lot of hours. For real, maybe like 5 to 10 hours looking for every possible podcast that we could make sure that we're on that app. So our distributor is like fully decked out. We are on like pretty much everything there is. iHeartRadio, Pandora, Audible, Amazon Music. We're on virtually everything. You can listen to us on Amazon Echo. It's like we've done a lot of work to get on there. And so, Bookworm says, why are only some of the debates on Spotify? So we are behind in the sense that we started putting the debates on in June. Oh, or I'm not sure what you mean. So the debates, when they happen on YouTube, we don't put them onto we don't put them on a podcast immediately. We're working on getting caught up, but what we usually do is we put them on podcast. Sometimes it's like a week late. Sometimes it's even 2 weeks late if we have a lot of debates. And so they will eventually end up on there, though. So I do want to let you know that is true. And let's see. Ophir says, if you don't press like, I call the police. Thank you for that support. And Mac HC says, thanks for reading off the comments, James. It definitely shows you're true to the show and love your followers. Thanks for your kind words, Mac. Seriously, that means a lot. Bookworm, let's see. Good, glad you're here, Bookworm. And yeah, so we are a little bit behind a week or two on the debates that we've uploaded. And then we started putting the debates on in last summer, June or July. So usually every Thursday, we do a Throwback Thursday debate where we find one of the debates that we did before we created our podcast, and we release it as a Throwback Thursday type of podcast release. And so some of those are like old Matt Dillahunty debates, Kent Hovind, Milo Yiannopoulos, you name it. But yes, so. And also, if you want to support the channel, if you want to give us a rating on your favorite podcast app, that helps a lot. We do appreciate that. And so Lockbeard says they don't want people they disagree with to get to speak at all, and you let both sides speak. Ignore the haters. Lockbeard, I think you were so right. There are a lot of people who, they're like, you platform so-and-so. Here's something funny. But yeah, I've seen a lot of people where they'll say, like, you're platforming so-and-so. I'm through with you. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't care. So the idea, though, is one of the reasons I don't care is it's humorous that I saw the same account where on one debate, they're like, that's it, I'm unsubscribing and I'm not watching anymore. And then I saw on a different debate, because I can look up the person's comments, I can see all the comments they've left on Modern Day Debate. Then they said that same thing on another debate, like a separate debate. I think it was like months later, and it's like, wait a minute, like, are you just saying that to try to get leverage, like try to like manipulate me into like, it's like, I'm gonna leave unless you do it my way, or like I'm unsubscribing right now, and it's like, well, you already said you were unsubscribed. Like, so I think a lot of people are even just saying it. Well, and this is a small percent, remember. This is like out of all the people who watch Modern Day Debate, it's a tiny percent. As most people are enjoying themselves and it's just fun and they're happy. And yeah, is that when I saw that though, I was like, you are so full of crap. But Jeff Cordell says, I found you through Google Podcasts, helps make work or the gym more bearable. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. Seriously, I'm glad that it's useful. And Lockbeard says, set up your Facebook wall so only you can post on it. Well, that's fun. I mean, I do like some posts. That was the only post I've probably ever gotten in my life that I was like seriously like grossed out by. Reswatt of Gore says, Joe Rogan versus Matt Dillahunty would blow the channel up. That would be epic. It really would, but I don't know if it's going to happen. Yeah, that's true. Sydney V said Rogan won't debate. He would be forced to take a position. Yeah, I don't think Rogan would be willing to debate. And frankly, yeah, I don't know if it's his bag, but on the spiritual significance of DMT trips, that's funny. And DeFreak says, if you ever need a Christian theist Jesus troll, let me know. I don't know. You mean, I can't tell what you are, but I'm at moderndaydebate@gmail.com. Sometimes people ask if they can come on to debate, and sometimes we are able to get them on. It depends on a lot of different factors, like what format, what topic, and everything else. But Ophir says, I think some people get wound up later and calm down and come back. That's true. Maybe that's it, Ophir, is that sometimes people are like coming back. That could be. Because I know that, I mean, debaters have even done that, where they're like, I'll never come back to Modern Day Debate. And then months later, it's like, oh, hey, I'm like, sure, we'll have you back on. Like, DeFreak says, or what was it? Is it Luis Juarez? Thanks for coming by, Luis. Is it pronounced Luis? Let me know. I think it is, but I'm honestly not very, sometimes I don't like read very well. It says, can we have a debate on personal experiences with an atheist and a Christian? That's an interesting idea. Yeah, that'd be fun. I'm open to it. I don't know who would be like big time people who would want to do it. Bookworm says, are you using the debates you host for your PhD thesis? If not, what are you studying for? Oh, that's funny. I wish I could, but no, I don't. It's not at all for research. It's just for fun to blow off steam from the PhD schedule. Basically, my research is like in work psychology, so like what motivates workers and all that stuff. And so, yeah, like how to prevent burnout in workers. It's like HR, not like HR, but it's in psychology. So it's called industrial organizational psychology. And Haxt says, if I don't like the debaters, I just skip that show. That makes sense to me. I mean, like, that's one thing is sometimes I see people who are like, I want it to be the case that I like every single debate. And I'm like, this channel is kind of like a buffet. You're not going to like every topic. You're not going to like every single like person. And that's how I think most YouTube channels are. Now, some of them, maybe there's a higher percentage hit, you could say. But I know that when I watch YouTube channels, I don't watch every single episode or video they put out. Like, very rarely. Most of the channels I watch, like, maybe, I don't know, once a week or once a month or something. Like, very few channels. It's rare that I ever watch, like, almost every show that comes out. So that's why I'm like, I try to tell people, like, if you don't like a debate, like maybe another one. Like, I don't blame you. Can't like everything. Sydney V says, I would offer to debate, but since I broke my neck, I only have my phone. I'm really sorry to hear that. That sounds really bad. So said, no, I have no money laying around for fancy electronics. This is it for me. I am so sorry, Sydney V, to hear about your injury. Like, that just sounds really hard. So we hope you feel welcome, and we hope you feel appreciated, and like it's a community and that it's supportive here. So we're glad you're here, and I hope you get better soon as well. Stuck in Florida said, let's see. Talking to somebody else. Best top, good to see you. Glad you made it. Yeah, I love the format. I love what we're doing here at the channel, and I'm super encouraged that it's been growing and people have been so supportive. So I honestly cannot thank you guys enough for all of your support. So thank you so much. And Bookworm said, did Aaron stop coming on after the Nathan incident? That's right. Aaron, so that's the thing. I would concede that not every debate is perfectly moderated. Far from it. I would concede that the Aaron Ra debate, I didn't do a great job on. So Aaron Ra was unhappy with that debate, and he was like, I'm not coming back. Now, whether or not that's forever or if he just temporarily is like, nope, we'll see. I would be happy to have Aaron on. I have no hard feelings. And frankly, I'm going to ask Aaron again. So I don't know. I have a feeling at some point it'll happen. But yeah, so that's I'm laying out the bare truth. I'm giving it to you straight. So as of right now, I don't think you'll see Aaron on in the next month. But I'm going to ask Aaron to come on this summer. So you may see Aaron come on in the summer, depending on if he says yes. He may not. But Random Nobody says, yeah, but you have a life, James. Thanks for your kind words. Telling me that I have a life. But seriously, thank you guys for your support. Thank you for everything. I am excited about the future. You guys honestly have no idea how much it means. I just love you guys. And so it's honestly been really fun. But yeah, Sunday Worship said, I think definitely Dillahunty will be back. I am quite confident he will. It's not confirmed yet, but I'm talking to Matt. So Best Top says, moderator, would you be willing to have a debate with me about blank vid 19? Maybe. It depends. I'm at moderndebate@gmail.com if you want to talk more. And we are very excited about the future, though. Thank you for all your support, folks. This channel, honestly, we're going to do some epic stuff this summer. For real. This summer really is. It's going to be unbelievable. So I am just excited. Thank you guys for all of your support, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for upcoming debates that you can enjoy, as I think you will enjoy them. It's going to be fun. And so thanks everybody. See Montreal, thanks for coming by. We hope you're well, And yeah, so I'm excited though. Let me say goodbye to the Twitch chat as well. So sorry, Twitch chat, I get behind. But Brooke Sparrow and Tapatzel, good to see you. And says always, is that Tapatzel says always round up on height. You're right, that's funny. But yeah, thank you guys. Thanks so much for your support in the old Twitch chat as well. And folks, if you haven't seen our Twitch chat, I am going to link that in the, what is it called? Oh, I'm tired. In the YouTube chat, I'm linking our Twitch channel if you haven't seen it yet. Oh, you know what we should do? We should raid. How do we do how to raid in Twitch? Oh, I forgot how to do this. Okay, so I think it's like I can't remember the call that you're supposed to use. You're supposed to type Oh, okay. You put /raid and then you put the name of the person you want to raid. Okay, I'll do that. So we're going to raid somebody in the Twitch chat right now. And Reswat of Gore says, as a wrestling fan, do you see RN versus Andre the Giant and Matt Dillahunty as Kevin Sullivan, the Taskmaster? I can't remember the Taskmaster. I think I remember, was that like the WWE era where they would have all the wrestlers would have like names of occupations, like the barber or the dentist. I'm trying to remember who Taskmaster is. I can't remember, but Spicy Road says, let's see, James debates are so important. Let's teach the world how to argue with facts rather than emotion. Thanks for that encouragement, Spicy Roads. That seriously does mean a lot, and I'm encouraged by that. So, and Brooke Chavis, thanks for your positivity. We do appreciate all the positivity, you guys. It is honestly, it's encouraging. And so thanks for all your support. Thank you. Say Montreal said, thank you, brother. Hope you're good as well. Thank you for that. And thank you, guys. Thanks, Stuck in Florida, for your kind words. And thanks, but yeah, actual socialist trash. Good to see you. There it is, /raid. Okay. So we're going to do this in the Twitch chat. If you want to like take a ride as we are going to raid somebody right now. Let's see who's awake right now or who's streaming right now. Oh, yeah. Okay. So let's raid Prime K's. He was a really kind fellow when he was on that stream. And CD Rank A, thanks so much for being here. I see you there in the old Twitch chat. And then now I'm going to put in Prime K's. Okay, I'm about to raid. Let's see, Prime K's with no spaces. Okay, let's see if this works. I've tried to do this before. Sometimes I botch it. It says this channel has subscriber-only chat. Oh, I didn't know that. I don't think we can raid them if that's the case. Can we? I don't know. I think that means we can't. So let me find someone else to raid. Who's this Hasanabi fellow? Let's see. We'll try that. Hasanabi. No. Raid /Hasanabi. Raid /Hasanabi. And do I put a space? I can't remember. Let me try this. I'm going to. Oh, it's / oh, I have to put a space. Thanks for letting me know that. CD Rank A. I'm gonna put a space, and that way we can rob or raid Hasanabi. Let's see if this works. Man, I don't know how to do this. I think I've wrecked it. Oliver Catwell says, "What's raiding?" What raiding is basically we can it like sends us to like somebody else's like stream as they're going. It brings everybody from the Modern Day Debate chat in Twitch to the chat of that other YouTube or Twitch streamer. So like it'll be like so and so is raiding you, and then it'll show all of our people pop in there. So I think. Oh, did I just? I think I successfully. Did I successfully raid? Oh, yes, we did successfully raid Prime K's, which is cool. Um, that's awesome. I'm gonna communicate with Prime K's. I'm gonna say, "Hi, Prime K's. I hope you're well." That's cool. I'm excited. And I don't know, how does let's see. I don't know how this works. Slash. Am I still streaming on Modern Day Debate, the stream? And is it show me, or is it? Oh, okay. I didn't know it does this. What it does is it shows Prime K's on Modern Day Debate. I didn't know that. That's interesting. Oh, well, that's really nice. Let's see. Once. That's so kind. They gifted me a sub to Prime K's. Oh, that's what gifting subs means. I didn't know that. That is cool. That's kind. Thank you, it's a metaphor. How do I say thank you? I must go back. Okay, I'm going to say thank you. Check out this boomer on Twitch, me right now. Let's see. I forgot the name of the person. Darn it, what was the name? It's a metaphor. That's what it was. Okay, now I lost it. Darn it. I don't know how to do this. How do I go back? I want to say thank you. Okay, well, I'm intrigued. That's how Twitch works, huh? That's cool. I like that. But yeah, so you guys are getting to see me try to figure out Twitch. David Druid, thanks for coming by Modern Day Debate. We hope you're doing well. And Sydney V explained to me who Hasanabi is. Thank you for that. And Reswat of Gore says James is going to rate himself later in the shower. Okay, gosh, what does that even mean? CD says props given back if you aren't listening. Thank you, CD. Oh, you're saying that Prime K's gave props? That's cool because I don't have the audio on, so I can't hear. Philip Evans says, I like the thumbnail of Jimmy holding onto his toupee. That's so true. It is actually what it looks like. It looks like I'm holding onto a toupee in the thumbnail. That's funny, like because I'm like this. Oh, that's good. I like that. Brian Stevens, thanks for your kind words. Said nice haircut. Thank you. I think I just cut it last week. I think. Sorry, I know I do multiple goodbyes, you guys, but I just love hanging out here. And so Actual Truth says, love you, James. JK, this channel gets me through my days as a wage slave. I've probably gone through all the debates on this channel in the last year. Whoa, that's so cool. I'm so glad that has been useful for you. That makes me feel happy. So that's encouraging. That's so cool. Yes, we successfully rated Prime K's, which was epic. And CD says, props given back if you aren't listening. That's cool. I'm so glad it worked. Boomer over here. Boomer James. You can call me that, guys. That's my new nickname. And CD said, hold on. Sunday Worship says, we love going on these learning adventures with you, James. Thank you for that. Thank you for your kind words, Air Church, on congratulating the first raid. Tapatu says, you were learning so much. You're right. I am. Thank you to you. Thank you for your help. DeFreak says, props. Okay. Thank you. That's encouraging to know Prime K's noticed and hopefully was encouraged. Brooke Chavis, thank you for saying good job. I learned how to raid somebody. And Hax says, have fun. Take care, everyone. Thank you. And Hax, you too. And Air Church says, you're an inspiration. Thanks for everything you do. Thanks, Air Church. That seriously means more than you know. That's really encouraging. Thank you. Brooke Chavis says, Prime K's gifted you a sub. Modern Day Debate. Thank you. That's encouraging. I'm encouraged by that. And that's cool. I like it. Yeah, that's cool. Learning all this stuff is really cool. Topot too. Oh, already thanked them. Thank you for doing that on my behalf, Topot. Sydney, let's see. That's so funny. Reswat, of course, says the hand behind the head in the pose looks like you just got busted doing something juicy. What a sicko. But anyway, True Shoes 101 says, thanks, James, for the nightcap. Congrats on the raid. Good night, peeps. Have a great tomorrow. Thank you for your kind words, True Shoes. Love you guys. Thanks for your support. Seriously, we hope you feel welcome here. It's a community, and it's a melting pot of different people. And we are absolutely determined to carry out the vision of providing a neutral platform, a level playing field that hosts nothing but debates. That's what this channel hosts. Nothing but debates. There's no streams where I or anybody else gets on and makes a stance. And don't get me wrong, that's cool if other channels do it, but for us, we want to be 100% neutral, hosting debates on science, religion, and politics, so everybody has their chance to make their case on a level playing field. And so we are excited for that. Thanks for your support of that, and we are excited about the future, folks, and we encourage you to join us in fulfilling that vision, and we appreciate you for all of your help in doing that. Thanks, guys. We hope you have a great rest of your night. Keep sifting out the reasonable from the unreasonable. Love you guys.